Chapter 159. Seeing this, Bailey Jintao stood up with a gloomy face. "Your Majesty, my daughter has yet to come out." Hearing this, everyone's curious gazes fell on Bailey Jintao. Bailey Yuyin's strength was one of the best among the participating cultivators, so it was strange that she had yet to come out. Xianyuan Yutian's eyes flashed with surprise as he said in a deep voice, "There is no one alive in the hunting ground." As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. Bailey Jintao didn't understand the meaning of Xianyuan Yutian's words for a moment, but after he understood, his dignified face was filled with shock. Impossible. Bailey Yuyin had yet to come out of the hunting ground, and there was no one alive in the hunting ground. Didn't that mean Bailey Yuyin was dead? When Bailey Jintao heard this news, he felt that it was extremely absurd. With Bailey Yuyin's strength, it was impossible for her to die in the hunting ground. Li Chengxian was also somewhat surprised, but more than that, he was pleasantly surprised. Bailey Yuyin's death meant that the general's estate had lost another source of strength. Only Bailey Haoshuan was left, and he still wasn't a threat. Yuyin definitely couldn't have died. Su Wanjing hurriedly said, her face full of determination. Everyone didn't believe it either. With Bailey Yuyin's strength, unless she was besieged by the Hell Wolves like Bailey Hongzhuang, she definitely wouldn't have died. However, at this time, Xianyuan Huan slowly opened his mouth. Bailey Yuyin really has fallen. Xianyuan Huan's words were like a stone thrown into the calm lake, and everyone's eyes focused on Xianyuan Huan. Since Xianyuan Huan said so, then it must be true. Bailey Yuyin was dead. This news swept through everyone's hearts, and even the participating cultivators had an expression of disbelief. "You saw it with your own eyes?" Bailey Haoshuan asked, unwilling to give up. Xianyuan Huan nodded slightly. "That's right." As Xianyuan Huan's voice fell, Su Wanjing's face turned pale in an instant, and she fell to the ground uncontrollably. "No, this is impossible." Su Wanjing trembled, her face filled with disbelief. She was still waiting for Bailey Yuyin to return with glory. How could she die in the hunting ground like this? Bailey Haoshuan stared blankly at Xianyuan Huan. He understood that with Xianyuan Huan's status, it was absolutely impossible for him to say such a thing to deceive them, because there was no need to. However, his sister's strength was so strong. How could she have died? Bailey Jintao's face was gloomy and uncertain. Although he was also extremely shocked in his heart, he didn't show any signs of disrespect. "May I ask your Highness the Crown Prince, how did Yuyin die?" Bailey Jintao asked in a deep voice. "Master, will Xianyuan Huan spill the beans?" Xiao He asked worriedly. Bailey Hongzhuang looked indifferent. "Let him do as he pleases. Even if he says it, the dead cannot testify. So what? Since she dared to kill Bailey Yuyin in front of Xianyuan Huan, she had already expected all the consequences." Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang full of confidence, Xiao He's face revealed a smile. "That's true. But he won't say it." Bailey Hongzhuang raised an eyebrow and chuckled. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Xiao He and Xiao Ba were a little surprised. They didn't know how Bailey Hongzhuang determined that Xianyuan Huan wouldn't tell the truth. However, Xianyuan Huan's answer made Xiao He and Xiao Ba admire Bailey Hongzhuang from the bottom of their hearts. Chapter 160. Everyone looked at Xianyuan Huan's mangled hand and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. This storm wolf was indeed ferocious. After hearing this answer, Bailey Jintao fell into silence. Even with Xianyuan Huan's strength, he was still seriously injured. Bailey Yuyin was even weaker than Xianyuan Huan, so it wasn't impossible for her to die at the hands of the storm wolf. Thinking of this, Bailey Jintao suddenly seemed to have aged a few decades. That high-spirited general's aura suddenly weakened a lot. The things that happened in the past 6 months made him feel like he was in a dream. He couldn't believe that the general's estate, which was so powerful half a year ago, had fallen to such a state in such a short time. Bailey Yuyin actually died. This time, the general's estate's strength has been greatly reduced. The general's estate can only rely on Bailey Haoshuan. Fortunately, Bailey Haoshuan didn't participate in the royal family's hunting competition. Otherwise, the general's estate would really have nothing left. That's not true. You see, Princess Chun is a rising talent. It's just that the general's estate's people have eyes, but can't see. Everyone's eyes constantly wandered between Bailey Hongzhuang and Bailey Haoshuan. No matter how they looked at it, Bailey Haoshuan's value couldn't be compared to Bailey Hongzhuang's. After a short rest, Xinyuan Yutian spoke. Now, let's decide the top 3 of the hunting competition. Following Xinyuan Yutian's words, the atmosphere changed. This was the most tense moment. If they could become the top 3 of the royal family's hunting competition, not only would they receive rich rewards, their names would also spread throughout the entire Feng Bo country. Xinyuan Yutian's face revealed a faint smile. First place, who obtained the Storm Wolf's Demon Crystal? All the ministers' eyes fell on Xinyuan Huan. Although he was seriously injured, no one else could obtain first place except for Xinyuan Huan. The situation became very strange. Everyone's eyes fell on Xinyuan Huan's body, and all the cultivators' eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang's body. Seeing this scene, the expressions of the people on the high platform changed. What did that mean? Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang was the one who got the demon crystal of the Gale Wolf? Xinyuan Yutian and Jiang Jinying were puzzled. It seemed like there were a lot of variables in this hunting competition. The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly stood up. Above her slender white palm, a blue demonic crystal impressively appeared in her hand. The blue demon crystal emitted an enchanting luster under the sunlight, faintly emitting a powerful energy fluctuation. The demonic crystal was the core of a demonic beast's power. All of the Gale Wolf's power was concentrated in it, so it was very valuable. Xinyuan Yutian and the others immediately recognized that the demon crystal belonged to the Gale Wolf. It wasn't until they saw Bailey Hongzhuang take out the Storm Wolf's demonic crystal that everyone believed that the first place belonged to Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang actually became the first place of the hunting competition. This is too unbelievable. Even the Crown Prince was seriously injured by the Gale Wolf, but Bailey Hongzhuang is safe and sound. Doesn't this mean that Bailey Hongzhuang is stronger than the Crown Prince? Everyone's expression changed. Before, they had not seen Bailey Hongzhuang's strength with their own eyes, so they still had a trace of doubt about the result. Now that everything had become an irrefutable fact, they no longer had the slightest doubt. The sunlight shone on the white figure, faintly gilding it with a layer of golden light. Her delicate and beautiful face rippled with a faint and elegant smile, neither arrogant nor impatient. Even if the glory of first place fell on her, she was still indifferent. Chapter 161. The first place of the royal family's hunting competition is actually the famous waste of the imperial city. This general's family really has no foresight. Didn't you see the ugly expression on General Bailey's face? I'm afraid his intestines are already turning green from regret. That's true. If Bailey Hongzhuang was still a member of the general's household, then the general's household would really have limitless glory. I really don't understand how General Bailey, who has been wise all his life, can't even handle such a small family matter. Although everyone's voices were soft, Bailey Jintao could still vaguely hear them. In fact, even if he didn't listen, he could still understand everyone's thoughts. A genius who could bring glory to his ancestors was expelled by him, just like that. Right now, he was a complete fool in everyone's eyes. Thinking of this point, Bailey Jintao felt his old face heat up. Bailey Hongzhuang's results today were a ruthless slap to their faces. What was called a waste? Someone who easily obtained first place in the royal family's hunting competition was called a waste? Then what were all the people present? Under this kind of gaze, Su Wanjing was even more ashamed. The more glorious Bailey Hongzhuang was at this moment, the more embarrassed they were. The eunuch handed the demon crystal in Bailey Hongzhuang's hand to Xinyuan Yutian. Xinyuan Yutian looked at the demon crystal and revealed a satisfied expression. It really is a Storm Wolf's demon crystal. Chen Wangfei is really not simple. Bailey Hongzhuang bowed. Your Majesty is too kind. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's graceful and courteous appearance, everyone's heart was filled with emotion. This was a true genius. After confirming Bailey Hongzhuang's first place, the other cultivators took out the demon crystals they obtained from the hunting ground. The second and third place were determined based on the number of demon crystals. Xianyuan Huan was fully deserving of the second place, while the third place was Xiao Zifan. Xiao Zifan was also a little surprised by this result, but he quickly understood. These demon crystals were obtained when he helped Bailey Hongzhuang deal with the Hell Wolf. Usually, it would take him a lot of time to find a demon beast in the mountain range. Only when he was surrounded by beasts could he obtain so many demon crystals in such a short period of time. He had a lot of demonic crystals, but the number of demonic crystals in Bailey Hongzhuang's possession was more than any of the cultivators present. Even Xianyuan Huan couldn't compare with her. After selecting the top 3, Xianyuan Yutian immediately gave out the rewards. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the demonic beast egg in her hand, and a smile slowly appeared on her lips. Her pet beast was inside the eggshell. Demonic beast eggs didn't mean that the demonic beast had just been born and hadn't hatched yet. Instead, the beast tamer used a mysterious method to seal the young demonic beast. Ordinary demonic beasts would not be willing to be a demonic pet at all. Therefore, they could only be sealed first, and then let their master form a contract with the demonic beast. Only then would the demonic beast break out of its shell. Xianyuan Huan got a bone-cleansing pill, while Xiao Zifan got a cloud lotus mushroom. Envious gazes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. From today onwards, their names would resound throughout the entire Fengbo country. Just when everyone thought that the royal hunting competition was about to come to an end, 2 figures slowly walked up to the high platform from afar. Everyone suspiciously looked at the 2 people. With their experience, they could naturally tell that the 2 people's identities weren't ordinary. Greetings, Your Majesty. Chapter 162. These 2 are the recruitment instructors of the Azure Water School. Xianyuan Huan introduced them to the crowd. Hearing about the Azure Water School, everyone's faces changed. The young cultivators present looked at Lu Huayin and Fu Hongbo with anticipation. The Azure Water School was located at the border between Fengbo Country and Yinshu Country. It was a school that specialized in training young cultivators. It was a place that all young cultivators dreamed of. As long as one could become a member of the Azure Water School, it was a great honor. Now, as long as one heard someone say that they were a student of the Azure Water School, everyone would look at them with admiration. There were many geniuses there, and resources were abundant. If one cultivated there, their cultivation speed would far surpass that of cultivating at home. However, the Azure Water School's recruitment requirements were very high. Only a small number of cultivators could join. Every time it was the day of recruitment, the Azure Water School would send out instructors to recruit students. If the instructor felt that you were very talented, they would inform you to go to the Azure Water School to participate in the assessment. Being able to participate in the assessment was only a one-time opportunity. Only by truly passing the assessment could one become a member of the Azure Water School. In addition, there was an exception. The Azure Water School had an invitation letter, but there were very few of them. When an instructor recognized a cultivator and gave them an invitation letter, the cultivator did not need to take the assessment and could directly become a member of the Azure Water School. Students who were able to get an invitation letter were undoubtedly very talented. At a young age, their strength had already surpassed other cultivators of the same age. Their youthful faces revealed a bit of nervousness. The sudden appearance of the recruitment instructor was very likely to be a cultivator among them. Maybe it was them. After Lu Huayin and Fu Hongbo appeared, Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze also fell on the 2. According to the reaction of Xianyuan Yutian and the others, she already understood that the hidden gaze that Xiao He and Xiao Bai felt was not from the royal family. Therefore, it was very likely that the gaze came from Lu Huayin and Fu Hongbo. Then, she was besieged by the Hell Wolves. It should be the work of these 2 people. Lu Huayin and Fu Hongbo felt Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze, and their faces showed a friendly smile. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the 2 of them without any change in her expression. She had no interest in smiling at the 2 fellows who had put her in danger. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's attitude, Lu Huayin and Fu Hongbo didn't care. Instead, they said, Your Majesty, the two of us found a good seedling in this hunting competition. Hearing this, Xianyuan Yutian smiled. He could not help but look at Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang had the best performance in the royal hunting competition. No one else could compare to her. Originally, he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to let Huan go to the Tsanglan College to study. With Huan Er's strength, she would definitely shine in the hunting competition. He didn't think that Bailey Hongzhuang's performance would be even more experienced. Thinking about it, the cultivator that Lu Huaiyin and Fu Hongbo valued was Bailey Hongzhuang. Everyone suddenly understood. No wonder the hunting competition's rewards were so rich. It turned out that the Tsanglan College also participated. Chapter 163. I don't know which cultivator the two mentors chose. Although he already knew the result, Xianyuan Yutian still asked. Crown Prince Xianyuan Huan, that young man and that girl are very good, Lu Huaiyin said with a smile. Xiao Zifen looked at the direction Lu Huaiyin was pointing at and pointed at himself in disbelief. Mimi, it's you, Lu Huaiyin affirmed. Whether it was strength or potential, Xianyuan Huan was very good. Although he lacked a bit of determination and tenacity, as long as he entered Azure Water School, all of this would no longer be a problem. Because Azure Water School was a cruel place for cultivation, they would eliminate the problem of greenhouse flowers little by little. Xiao Zifen's strength could only be regarded as average, but his character was really a big highlight, which made them appreciate him very much. In addition to Xiao Zifen, the other girl Jiang Hanyue was also very excited. She did not expect to be chosen. Envious and jealous eyes fell on Xiao Zifen and Jiang Hanyue. To be able to be valued by the mentors of Azure Water School, it was really enviable. I don't know if you're interested in participating in the assessment of Azure Water School, Fu Hongbo asked. Although it was a question, he was not worried because almost no cultivator would refuse such an opportunity. Sure enough, all three of them, including Xianyuan Huan, nodded in agreement. This was a great opportunity for them. As long as they worked hard to pass the assessment, their cultivation speed would greatly increase. However, everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in confusion. The best performance was Bailey Hongzhuang. Why didn't the two mentors mention Bailey Hongzhuang's name? Everyone had different expressions, and various guesses emerged in their hearts. Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang used tricks in the hunting field to win first place? So the two mentors were not interested in her? Su Wanjing's eyes suddenly filled with a trace of light. She felt that Bailey Hongzhuang must have used some underhanded means. However, the next moment, the two mentors' actions made everyone's eyes widen, only to see Lu Huaiyin and Fu Hongbo slowly walk in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. A purple invitation letter with gold stamping impressively appeared. Miss Bailey, are you interested in joining the Azure Water School? Fu Hongbo asked with a smile. Seeing the purple invitation letter, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Invitation letter. It's actually an invitation from the Azure Water School. Bailey Hongzhuang can actually get an invitation from Tsanglan School. An invitation letter was something that many cultivators yearned for even in their dreams. However, most cultivators did not even dare to think about it. The questions of the two mentors were completely different. Even the Crown Prince Xianyuan Huan only had the opportunity to participate in the assessment of the college, but Bailey Hongzhuang could directly enter the college. There was no need for a test. The two mentors had already decided on her. Everyone finally understood that it wasn't that the two instructors didn't like Bailey Hongzhuang, but that Bailey Hongzhuang was the real highlight. Too awesome. Once this news gets out, I wonder how many people will be stunned. After a short moment of surprise, Xiao Zifen quickly turned into heartfelt joy. Bailey Hongzhuang is really not simple. She can actually get the appreciation of the two mentors. Zhao Yinxi's smile was a bit bitter. She didn't even have the opportunity to participate in the assessment. Chapter 164. Not interested, Bailey Hongzhuang said lightly. Fu Hongbo and Lu Huaiyin were both startled. It had always been others begging them to send out invitations. This was the first time they had been rejected. The moment Bailey Hongzhuang said these words, the surrounding was silent. Everyone seemed to have seen something unbelievable and their mouths were wide open. This was a rare opportunity. Bailey Hongzhuang actually refused. You don't want to join the Azure Water School? Lu Huayan asked doubtfully why. Bailey Hongzhuang looked indifferent, no reason. You hate the Azure Water School? Fu Hongbo was very puzzled. With the prestige of the Azure Water School, it was impossible for a cultivator to refuse. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head slightly. I don't have any feelings toward the Azure Water School, but I hate you too. Hate the teachers. Everyone's mouth twitched. They really didn't know what to say. The reason Bailey Hongzhuang refused to join the Azure Water School was because she hated the two recruitment teachers. In the end, what did these two teachers do to annoy her? You hate us? Fu Hongbo and Lu Huayan looked at each other. Bailey Hongzhuang's answer made them confused. I don't think we've ever met before. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows and chuckled. Are you sure? Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Fu Hongbo and Lu Huayan's hearts thumped. Did Bailey Hongzhuang really discover the two of them that day? You brought me trouble and then sat back and watched the show. How does it feel? Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved slightly, her cold voice revealing a bit of sarcasm. At this moment, Fu Hongbo and Lu Huayan no longer had any doubts. Bailey Hongzhuang really did discover the two of them. Not only that, she even knew that the Hell Wolves were arranged by the two of them. After a brief moment of surprise, Fu Hongbo and Fu Qingluo began to understand how extraordinary Bailey Hongzhuang was. If it was any other cultivator, it would be utterly impossible for them to discover them. Even if it was the Nether Wolves that didn't leave behind any clues, so logically speaking, it was utterly impossible for them to discover them. Not only had Bailey Hongzhuang discovered it, but she had also connected the dots. This feeling made them wonder if they were the ones watching the show, or if Bailey Hongzhuang was the one watching the show. Was this really a 15-year-old girl? His meticulousness was simply appalling, but they liked it. As a teacher of the Azure Water School, what kind of genius had he not seen? On the contrary, they were not interested in those who followed the rules. What they were most interested in was a pervert like Bailey Hongzhuang. That's right, he was a pervert. The reason why geniuses were called geniuses was because they had an abnormal side to them. Bailey Hongzhuang was only at the early stage of the mysterious Ian realm, yet she was still able to discover them when she was surrounded by the Hell Wolves. Just how abnormal was her spiritual power? Just based on this point, Bailey Hongzhuang's potential was much higher than what they had previously thought. No matter what, the two of them had to trick Bailey Hongzhuang into joining the Azure Water School. Bailey Hongzhuang turned her gaze towards Xianyuan Yutian, who was on the high platform. Emperor, may I ask if the royal hunting competition has ended? Xianyuan Yutian nodded. Yes. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang bowed. Then, I will take my leave first. She had always pursued the principle that her life was in her own hands, not in the hands of the heavens, let alone others. Although she knew that Fu Hongbo and Fu Qingluo's actions were reasonable, this test was not something she wanted to do. It was something the other party had directly placed on her. Chapter 165. After saying that, Bailey Hongzhuang turned around and left the resting area. Everyone stared at Bailey Hongzhuang's actions. Wasn't this too rude? Bailey Hongzhuang directly rejected the two mentors' invitation. She didn't even bother to talk to them. It was as if her identity had changed. Xianyuan Yutian's face was also a bit embarrassed. The royal hunting competition had indeed ended. Bailey Hongzhuang leaving now was not wrong. However, from a reasonable point of view, now is not the time to leave. Mentor Lu, Mentor Fu. Xianyuan Yutian slowly opened his mouth. He was the ruler of a country. With his status, he naturally did not need to worry about the two's displeasure. It was just that Azure Sea School's position was special. Its position was deeply rooted, and its influence was even greater. Many experts came from Azure Water School. Although Azure Water School's purpose was to cultivate cultivators, they did not ask their students to do anything. However, all the students of Azure Water School would be grateful to their alma mater. If something happened to their alma mater, they would not let it go. Some cultivators who became peerless experts would even help Azure Water School by donating cultivation resources. This was the relationship between feeding and returning. It was precisely because of this that although it seemed that the Azure Water School was just an ordinary school, its relationships were intricate and complex. A slight move in one part could affect the whole situation. Even Xinyuan Yutian was not willing to offend Azure Water School. After all, Fengbo Country also had many cultivators from Azure Water School. Moreover, Xinyuan Huan was preparing to go to Azure Water School to study. Everyone thought that Lu Huayin and Fu Hongba would be furious after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's reaction. However, the two's reactions were also beyond everyone's expectations. The two still had smiles on their faces as they looked at Xinyuan Yutian. Congratulations, Emperor. There are many good seedlings in the younger generation. The two of us still have some things to do, so we will take our leave first. Xinyuan Yutian looked at the two's reaction and knew that they were not angry. On the contrary, they were even more interested in Bailey Hongzhuang. He nodded. Since the two of you have something to do, then I will not keep you. Lu Huayin and Fu Hongba nodded again and again. They immediately chased after Bailey Hongzhuang. F***CK. Am I seeing things? Bailey Hongzhuang refused to join the Kanglan school, and the teachers of the Kanglan school actually went after her. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang's strength is not bad, the two mentors don't have to be so thirsty for talent, do they? What on earth happened here? I don't understand at all. Everyone looked at each other. Bailey Hongzhuang's reaction was strange, but the two teachers' reactions were even stranger. Could it be that they were really in a hurry and not doing business? The more Bailey Hongzhuang refused, the more the two mentors wanted to invite her. Seeing the two teachers leave in a hurry, as if they were afraid that they would not be able to convince Bailey Hongzhuang, the crowd was speechless. Was there any justice left in this world? They desperately wanted to enter Songlan College, but they still had to get the approval of their mentors. Bailey Hongzhuang was simply a big boss. Others had to beg her to go. The gap between people was too big. Although the ministers' faces did not change, their hearts were also extremely shocked. This Bailey Hongzhuang was going against the heavens. Chapter 166. Congratulations to General Bailey. Your daughter is really amazing, Li Chengxian said with a smile. Everyone was speechless. Li Chengxian's words were to anger Bailey Jintao. Bailey Jintao snorted and sneered. Prime Minister Li doesn't need to worry about my daughter. I'm more curious about your daughter's face. When these words came out, Li Chengxian's face also became ugly. Bailey Jintao had lost a daughter today, but Li Yuyue's situation wasn't any better. Humph! Li Chengxian also snorted coldly, flicking his sleeves and leaving in displeasure. Bailey Jintao coldly looked at Li Chengxian. Li Chengxian always wanted to see him make a fool of himself. He wanted to see how Li Chengxian would deal with Li Yuyue's matter. Bailey Hongzhuang walked out of Luoxiao Mountain. Lu Huayin and Fu Hongba followed behind her. Miss Bailey, as long as you join my Azure Water School, your cultivation speed will be much faster. Cultivating alone is always lonely. There are many students in the school. You can make friends and learn from each other. It is not something to be missed. Bailey Hongzhuang rolled her eyes and looked at the two people behind her. She was speechless and said, I already said, I am not interested. Isn't there a place to cultivate? Even if you're not interested, you can still go and take a look. Fu Hongba laughed. Bailey Hongzhuang's heart was filled with deep helplessness. If she didn't know the identity of these two people, she would have suspected that they were human traffickers. Speaking of which, how did you find us? Lu Huayin asked curiously. He still couldn't believe that Bailey Hongzhuang's spiritual power could find them. Maybe Bailey Hongzhuang had other abilities. Not telling you. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged and continued to walk forward. Lu Huayin and Fu Hongba didn't care. It was rare to meet an interesting seedling. They didn't mind spending some time. Until Bailey Hongzhuang got on the carriage. She believed that these two guys wouldn't continue to follow her. Master, they're still outside the carriage. Xiao Hei's eyes flashed with a playful light. Although these two fellows had put her master in danger, she had to admit that these two fellows were quite fun to play with. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang pulled up the curtain and looked at both sides of the carriage. She saw Lu Huaiyin and Fu Hongbo on both sides of her carriage. With their agility, keeping up with the carriage was no problem at all. After closing the curtain, Bailey Hongzhuang closed her eyes to rest, ignoring the two people outside. Outside Prince Chen's mansion, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly got off the carriage, while Lu Huaiyin and Fu Hongbo were still looking at her with smiles. "Miss Bailey, think about it carefully. Don't give up this opportunity." Fu Hongbo laughed. "Keep this invitation letter for me." As soon as his voice fell, Lu Huaiyin and Fu Hongbo disappeared in front of Bailey Hongzhuang at lightning speed. Looking at the purple invitation letter in her hand, Bailey Hongzhuang was speechless. Was such an unreliable guy really that Songlan College's recruitment instructor? Putting away the invitation letter, Bailey Hongzhuang returned to her room. She also needed to understand the matters of the Songlan College. Lu Huaiyin and Fu Hongbo walked on the streets of the Imperial City. The two of them sighed at the same time. It's really not easy to send out an invitation letter. This is the first time, Lu Huaiyin said with emotion. Chapter 167. In my opinion, she didn't reject Azure Water School. She was just unhappy that we attracted the Hell Wolves. This matter was indeed unkind. Fu Hongbo's expression was indifferent. This girl is not a stingy person. She won't mind. From Bailey Hongzhuang's attitude towards Zhao Yunxi, it could be seen that if she was a stingy person, then she wouldn't have let Zhao Yunxi go. Lu Huaiyin nodded slightly. This was one of the things he admired about Bailey Hongzhuang. The news of Bailey Hongzhuang winning first place in the royal hunting competition swept through the entire Imperial City like the wind. Everyone who heard this news was astonished. This was a true dark horse. Previously, some people guessed that first place would be Xinyuan Huan, some guessed that first place would be Bailey Yuyin, but no one thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would win first place. The former waste had already changed. Bailey Hongzhuang used her own strength to tell everyone that she wasn't a waste. In the royal hunting competition, Bailey Hongzhuang completely removed the title of waste. However, before everyone could recover from the shock of this news, another explosive news shocked everyone to the point that they couldn't close their mouths. The Azure Water School's teachers personally sent out an invitation, but Bailey Hongzhuang actually rejected it. Even if Hongzhuang refused, the two teachers weren't angry and continued to persuade Bailey Hongzhuang. What was domineering? This was the true domineering. While all the cultivators were still racking their brains to squeeze into the Azure Water School, Bailey Hongzhuang was already considering whether or not to go. With this comparison, the gap was completely revealed. For a while, Bailey Hongzhuang was in the limelight. The streets and alleys were all talking about Bailey Hongzhuang. The number one beauty of the Imperial City, the number one genius doctor of Fengbo country, and the genius invited by the Azure Water School. These three halos were concentrated on one person. The shock was unprecedented. Lu Huaiyin and Fu Hongbo listened to the discussions of the people. They had a better understanding of Bailey Hongzhuang. But the more they understood, the more they found that Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't simple. A girl who had lived with the title of waste for 15 years suddenly became so bright and could still be so calm. Just this temperament alone was enough to make people feel apprehensive. They didn't know why Bailey Hongzhuang had endured until now, but to be able to endure 15 years of unwarranted abuse and turn it into motivation, how tenacious heart. Lu Huaiyin and Fu Hongbo looked at each other. They had underestimated Bailey Hongzhuang. This Bailey Hongzhuang, in the future, she will definitely not be simple. Fu's Bailey Hongzhuang is Bailey Hongzhuang's Bailey Hongzhanzhan, Bailey Hongzhuang Bailey's. Because 15 years of being cursed and despised had already trained her to have a tenacious heart. She has all the qualifications that a strong person should have. Lu Huaiyin nodded. This time, we found an amazing girl. The two smiled at each other. Their hearts were even more determined to recruit Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang had a certain understanding of the Azure Water School from the housekeeper. Before, she had always been holed up in the general's mansion. She didn't even know about cultivation, let alone the Azure Water School. Chapter 168. Thousands of years ago, Bailey Hongzhuang knew about the major schools. Although the schools could not be compared to the cultivation families, they could indeed promote the cultivation of cultivators. After all, only after seeing more geniuses could one understand one's own shortcomings and arouse one's fighting spirit. Otherwise, one's cultivation would be stagnant. Master, this Songlan school is a good place to go, Xiaohei said with a smile. Bailey Hongzhuang originally intended to go out and gain experience. Cultivation in peace was not conducive to development. What she needed was more opponents to break through her own limits again and again. Joining the Songlan school, Bailey Hongzhuang could meet a large number of excellent cultivators, and the cultivation and experience in the school would not be lacking. It seemed more convenient than cultivating alone. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Songlan school is indeed good, but this is still not the reason I want to go. The next day, the sun was shining, birds were singing, and flowers were fragrant. Bailey Hongzhuang was cultivating in the room, but a maid came with news that the teachers of the Songlan school had come to visit. Hearing this news, Bailey Hongzhuang raised an eyebrow. She did not need to think to know that it must be the two guys from yesterday. Chen Palace front hall. When Bailey Hongzhuang came to the front hall, she saw Lu Huaiyin and Fu Hongba eating snacks and drinking tea, occasionally praising each other. These two guys really did not treat her as an outsider. Miss Bailey has come. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang, Lu Huaiyin's face showed a smile. I don't know what you think after a night of thinking. It's still the same. Bailey Hongzhuang said lightly. Fu Hongba put down the tea and stood up. The teasing expression on his face gradually disappeared and was replaced by thick seriousness. I know the reason why you're not willing to join the Songlan school is because of our test. We were indeed in the wrong in this matter. It's just that the strength you've displayed has really attracted our attention, so we wanted to test your depth more. For this, we apologize to you. Fu Hongba's eyes were sincere and serious. As an elder, he did not feel that there was anything wrong with apologizing to the younger generation. After all, if this kind of thing was exposed to him, he would be very unhappy. I hope you won't take it to heart. Lu Huaiyin's mouth curved into a faint smile. They deeply understood that as a young girl who had been bullied for more than 10 years, her self-esteem was absolutely not to be trampled on. Their actions were clearly disrespectful in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. Lu Huaiyin's apology was beyond Bailey Hongzhuang's expectations. She did not expect that the two of them would come to apologize to her in the morning. As a mentor of the Azure Water School, the object of many people's pursuit, he actually apologized to her. In this matter, she was only unhappy that she had been used as the target of the other party's probing, but she also knew that as a candidate, such probing was very normal. In this world where the strong preyed on the weak, the rules were always written by the strong, and the weak could only obey them. However, when Lu Huaiyin and the other two sincerely apologized to her, she couldn't help but feel a little touched in her heart. A smile blossomed on Bailey Hongzhuang's lips. I apologize for my earlier attitude towards the two of you. Since Lu Huaiyin and the other had already gone this far, she naturally wouldn't hold on to it. She admired the other party's magnanimity. Chapter 169. Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth twitched when she saw the two's attitude change so quickly. Even the way they addressed her changed in a short period of time. It was rare for these two guys to be serious. Her inky black eyes were filled with a faint smile. She was more used to Fu Hongbo's attitude. Since you guys think it's not bad, I'll have the kitchen prepare more for you guys. Bailey Hongzhuang said lightly. Haha, you really know how to do things. Fu Hongbo laughed. In a month, you'll report to Azure Water School. Don't be late. Lu Huaiyin warned. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. I'll report on time. Since that's the case, we'll have to go. Cultivate hard. We'll wait for you at Azure Water School. Fu Hongbo said with a smile. Okay. Bailey Hongzhuang had just sent Fu Hongbo and Lu Huaiyin off when she saw Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunxi at the entrance of Chen Palace. When Xiao Zifan saw Bailey Hongzhuang, he waved his hand and said, Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. She didn't think that Xiao Zifan would come looking for her. The royal hunting competition had just ended, and everyone should be recuperating at home. You're looking for me? Xiao Zifan nodded. Tianxiang Trading Company has an auction today. I heard that there are a lot of treasures inside. Yunxi and I just happened to pass by and wanted to ask if you're interested. Auction? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes moved and a bright smile appeared on her face. I'll also go and take a look. In the Shengxian continent, if a cultivator wanted to find something they needed, other than going to a shop, there was another way, which was to participate in an auction. The items auctioned at the auction were all related to cultivators. The value of the items that appeared here were often much higher than in a shop, but the price would also be higher. Bailey Hongzhuang was very interested in this auction. She might be able to buy what she needed. What she lacked the most right now was a handy weapon. An ordinary sword wouldn't do. This could be seen from the fact that her sword was directly bitten off by the Hell Wolf King. The auction will start at 3 in the afternoon. We'll meet at Tianxiang Trading Company, Xiao Zifan said with a smile. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. It was still early, and there was still a long time before the auction started. She should go back and look at the egg first. Last night, she was so busy learning about the news of the Azure Water College that she forgot about the monster egg. Now that she thought about it, she also wanted to know what kind of monster pet it was. Back in the house, Bailey Hongzhuang took out the demonic beast egg. The demonic beast egg was only 20 centimeters tall and was completely white. Complex and mysterious seals appeared on it. This was the power of the seal. Bailey Hongzhuang also had a certain understanding of the art of controlling beasts, but looking at the seal on the egg, she couldn't help but frown. Master, I think this seal is unusual. Xiaohei said. Xiaobai nodded. I think the sealed monster inside is even more unusual. I can feel its fluctuations. Xiaohei and Xiaobai were also a type of monster. It was just that they didn't know what kind of monster they were. Monsters were not like humans. They had a strict hierarchy. Lower-level monsters would submit to higher-level monsters from the bottom of their hearts. Although the black and white furballs didn't know what kind of monster they were very clear that their levels weren't low. Chapter 170. It's already very precious for the royal family to be able to reward an ordinary demon beast egg, and they actually reward a very powerful demon pet. Her clear eyes couldn't hide her surprise. Bailey Hongzhuang originally didn't have much hope for this demon beast egg. After all, a powerful demon pet definitely couldn't be obtained in Phone Bow country. Even if there really was one, it would definitely not be her turn. Now it seemed, the situation seemed to be different from what she imagined. In my opinion, it's very likely that the royal family doesn't know the uniqueness of this demon beast egg, because there's a special power on this demon beast egg that hides the fluctuations of the demon pet. Only we can feel it. Xiaobai said, the corner of Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth slightly hooked up. In that case, I picked up a big bargain, although she still didn't know what this demon beast was. However, Bailey Hongzhuang already knew that this demon beast level would definitely not be low. Different demon pets had different strengths. Their potential was also different. If the demon pet's level was very low, then no matter how the master fed it, the demon pet's achievements were limited, because potential had already limited everything. If the demon beast level was higher, then it had enough room for growth. It could give more help to the master. Bailey Hongzhuang no longer hesitated. She directly cut her finger with a knife. She took out a drop of blood essence and dripped it on the demon beast egg. As the drop of blood dripped down, the runes on the eggshell quickly bloomed with a bright yellow light. It dazzled Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. Fortunately, it was daytime. If it was nighttime, this light would probably attract everyone's attention. That drop of blood essence followed the strokes of the seal. Wherever it passed, the seal quickly dissipated. When the blood stopped sliding, the seal had completely disappeared. The blood seeped into the demon beast egg. It merged into the demon beast's forehead. Kacha! Kacha! The sound of the eggshell breaking rang out. Bailey Hongzhuang and Xiaohei and Xiaobai looked curiously at the inside of the eggshell. They were all very curious about what kind of demon beast this was. The first thing that appeared was a pure white claw. The furry claw was full of cuteness. Then, the eggshell shattered completely, and a furry head appeared in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. Master, a childish voice entered Bailey Hongzhuang's ears, filled with dependence and curiosity. The corner of Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth twitched as she looked at the pet in front of her. This is the powerful, demonic beast you were talking about? In his line of sight, a furry white figure was curiously looking around. At a glance, it was clearly no different from a pet dog. Just one look was enough to melt a woman's heart. However, this was far from the image Bailey Hongzhuang had imagined. She thought that this high-level demon pet would at least have a mighty and domineering image. But when this little white dog stood up, she was afraid that it would be laughed to death before it could even make a move. Xiao He and Xiao Bai also looked at the white creature in front of them in astonishment. This image was also different from what the two of them had imagined. Xiao Bai moved in front of the white creature. He carefully looked at the appearance of the demon pet. In his impression, there didn't seem to be any demon beast that looked like this. Xiao He suddenly pointed at the demon pet's forehead and said, "Master, look, there's a king word written on its forehead." Hearing that, Bailey Hongzhuang grabbed the demon pet and looked at the demon pet's forehead. Sure enough, there was a word clearly written on its forehead, king. But looking at the king word and looking at the demon pet's image, Bailey Hongzhuang only felt that it was very funny. What kind of king is this? Dog king? Bailey Hongzhuang was speechless. Chapter 171. Xiao He and Xiao Bai couldn't help but laugh when they heard the two words dog king. This was too funny. Master, maybe this demon pet is only in its infancy and doesn't like its image. Maybe it's a tiger. Xiao He said again. Bailey Hongzhuang sized up the pet beast, some doubt in her eyes. I hope so. All demon beasts could only be seen as cute when they were just born, but no other characteristics could be seen. Maybe this little guy would also be an amazing fellow in the future. After all, Xiao He and Xiao Bai could feel that its level wasn't low. Do you know what kind of demon beast this guy is? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. She had seen many demon beasts, but basically all of them were adult demon beasts. She really didn't know much about this kind of demon beast that was just born. Xiao He and Xiao Bai looked at each other, then shook their heads. We don't know either. Bailey Hongzhuang then asked the demon pet, "What kind of demon beast are you?" Ordinary demon beasts couldn't open their mouths to speak human language, unless their strength reached a certain level and could transform into a human form. However, there was an intimate connection between the pet beast and its master, and they could communicate through mental strength. It was because of this that the pet beast and its master could have enough tacit understanding. The pet beast shook its head and said softly, "I don't know." Hearing this answer, Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't surprised. This little guy was quite pitiful. It was sealed not long after it was born, and it didn't even know what kind of demon beast it was. This wasn't a problem. As long as it grew up, everyone would naturally know what kind of demon beast it was. In the future, we're family. Bailey Hongzhuang stroked the pet beast's head and said with a faint smile, "Master, give this little guy a name." Xiao He said with a smile. Bailey Hongzhuang thought for a moment and said, "Let's call it Baishur." She believed that a demonic beast with the word king on its forehead would not be weak. Being named White Lion would not diminish its status. When Bailey Hongzhuang finished naming Baishur, she realized that Xiao He and Xiao Bai were looking at her with resentment. Her clear eyes were filled with a trace of surprise. "Why are you two looking at me like that? Master, why weren't you so good when you gave us names?" Xiao He's eyes were filled with resentment. Such a common name was definitely a stain on her life. It's obvious that it doesn't really love us. Who knows how many dogs it has the same name as, Xiao Bai said angrily. Back then, when it was in the Chaos Ring, it had hoped that one day it would be able to make its name known all over the world. Thinking about its current name, it really felt bitter tears. Xiao Bai. This name sounded weak no matter how one looked at it. The famous demonic beast in the pugilistic world was actually called Xiao Bai. It was too shameless. Hearing Xiao He and Xiao Bai's resentment, Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth twitched. These two were too serious. A name was just a code name. However, she understood that these two fellows would not respond to her at all if she said that. That might not be the case. I've thought of a very domineering group name for you too, Bailey Hongzhuang said with a smile. What name? Xiao Bai and Xiao He asked with wide eyes. black and white double demons. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. How is it? Isn't it mighty and domineering? Xiao He and Xiao Bai paused and rolled their eyes pretentiously. It's SOSO. Chapter 172. Bailey Hongzhuang instructed the servants to prepare some food for White Lion. Demonic beasts usually need to eat a lot of food, and White Lion had not eaten for a long time, so was already hungry. Seeing the food, White Lion excitedly rubbed against Bailey Hongzhuang's feet, then plunged into the food. However, when the woman and the two beasts saw White Lion's shocking appetite, their eyes were filled with shock. Oh no, there's another prodigal. Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth twitched. Xiao He and Xiao Bai could already eat a lot, but she did not expect White Lion to eat even more than the two of them combined. Just buying cultivation resources was already a bottomless pit for her, and now she had to raise 3 prodigals. No matter how much money she earned, it would not be enough to spend. Thinking of this, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but take out the demonic crystals. These demonic crystals can be used for many things. Coincidentally, there's an auction this afternoon. Why don't we take some pills to participate in the auction? Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was thinking of what pills to auction, White Lion's shining eyes were already fixed on the demonic crystals in Bailey Hongzhuang's hands. White Lion gave up on the food behind him and walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side, saying in a childish voice, "Master, I want it." Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang raised her brows. "You want demonic crystals?" White Lion nodded. "Yes." Bailey Hongzhuang looked puzzled. Although she did not know why White Lion wanted demonic crystals, since it wanted one, then she would give it one. She picked up a demonic crystal and placed it in front of White Lion. The woman and the two beasts looked at White Lion in confusion. This guy can't possibly be able to absorb the energy of a demonic crystal at such a young age, right? Xiao Bai asked. Demonic crystals were the essence of a demonic beast's cultivation. Demonic beasts who had cultivated to a certain level could directly absorb the energy in the demonic crystal to increase their own strength. However, this was not an easy task. The energy within the demon crystal was extremely violent. Only extremely powerful demon beasts could do that. The demonic crystals that Bailey Hongzhuang had obtained this time were not weak. Although it and Xiao He could directly absorb them, Baishir was still young and his body could not withstand such power. "I don't know. We'll know once we take a look," Xiao He replied. "Even if we can absorb it, we won't be able to absorb much. Since Baishir had taken the initiative to ask for it, there shouldn't be a problem." When White Lion saw the Fey crystal, the excitement in his eyes intensified. He rushed forward and took a bite. "Kacha!" A crisp sound rang out as the surface of the demon crystal shattered. Baishir stuck out its red tongue and absorbed all the liquid in the demon crystal into its body. Then it swallowed the demon crystal shell into its stomach. After finishing a demon crystal, Baishir licked the corner of its mouth and continued to eat in satisfaction. "Damn, it can't be!" Xiao He exclaimed in shock. "How old is this guy? He actually ate an entire demon crystal? It shouldn't be a problem, right?" Xiao Bai looked confused. They had never seen such a situation before. Bailey Hongzhuang's black, jade-like eyes shone brightly. Looking at that furry body, the corners of her lips curled into a bright smile. Just by looking at Baishir's actions, she could already confirm that this little guy was not simple. The demon crystal that she had given to Baishir earlier belonged to the Netherwolf. Demonic beasts that had not reached the Xiantian realm would not be able to absorb the energy in the demon crystal. How old was Baishir? For it to be able to eat an entire demon crystal and still be safe and sound, this proved that its starting point was very high. She believed that she had really picked up a treasure this time. Chapter 173. Thinking up to here, Bailey Hongzhuang's mood improved a bit. Just based on this point, raising another prodigal son was worth it. In the blink of an eye, it was time for the auction to begin. Bailey Hongzhuang tidied up a bit and headed towards Tianxiang Commerce. When the commoners saw Bailey Hongzhuang appear, their faces lit up with excitement. Right now, the most famous person in Fengbo country was Chun Wangfei. Originally, the 3 most famous geniuses in the imperial city were Xianyuan Huan, Bailey Yuyan, and Li Yuyue. Therefore, everyone thought that whether it was Xianyuan Huan, Bailey Yuyin, or Li Yuyue, they were a match made in heaven. However, it was this kind of trash that was looked down upon by everyone. Now, her halo had far surpassed the original geniuses. She used facts to prove to everyone who was the real genius. Some young cultivators even treated Bailey Hongzhuang as their idol. At that time, Bailey Hongzhuang was humiliated. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang was able to do it, why can't they do it? In a short time, the young cultivators began to cultivate. They firmly believed that even trash would be able to turn over a new leaf. Moreover, they weren't real trash. When Bailey Hongzhuang arrived at Tianxiang Commerce, Xiao Zifen and Zhao Yunxi were already there. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang, Xiao Zifen immediately smiled and walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. Hongzhuang, you came. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. You came earlier than me. We just arrived a while ago. Xiao Zifen smiled brightly. Next month, I will be participating in the Azure Water School's exam. My father told me to come and see if there is anything I need. Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly understood. Her gaze swept over the other people in the hall. There were quite a lot of young people present. The things that appeared in the auction were better than the things in the shops. If she could find something suitable for herself, that would be the best. At the same time, everyone's eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. They couldn't ignore Bailey Hongzhuang even if they wanted to. Today, Bailey Hongzhuang was still dressed in a white dress. Her ethereal temperament was unmistakable. That exquisite and impeccable face looked perfect from every angle. Just by standing there, it was already an unforgettable sight. Look, Bailey Hongzhuang is here too. I don't know if Bailey Hongzhuang has accepted the invitation of the Kanglan School. She can refuse such a good opportunity. Her courage is really not small. In my opinion, Prince Chun is the most discerning person in the entire imperial city. I can't believe that he was able to marry such a slut. If I had known earlier, I would have gone to the general's residence to propose marriage. Hearing this person's words, everyone agreed. Bailey Hongzhuang's rise completely proved that the general's residence had eyes but failed to see. Even the imperial family wasn't any better. It was just that due to the status of the imperial family, no one dared to say it out loud. Your Highness the Crown Prince has really suffered a big loss this time. A man laughed. This morning, I heard that Li Yuyue's face also had a problem. As soon as these words came out, everyone showed a curious expression. What problem? Zhao Yunxi looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and Xiao Zifen with a smile. I also heard that Li Yuyue's face has grown a lot. Now she can even change her name to Li Matzi. Haha. Chapter 174. I was wondering why she didn't come out to meet people since she's usually so arrogant and proud like a peacock. So it's because she can't meet people. Serves her right. I've long disliked her conduct. I don't think His Highness the Crown Prince will marry a woman with a face full of pockmarks. Zhao Yunxi smiled very complacently. Li Yuyue's usual flamboyant appearance was too detestable. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a faint smile, but she didn't respond. But this is His Highness the Crown Prince's second engagement. If it's cancelled again, then Xiao Zifen was slightly stunned. If this spread out, wouldn't His Highness the Crown Prince become a joke? If the engagement was cancelled again and he made another woman the Crown Princess, then His Highness the Crown Prince's engagement will be considered a big surprise in Fengbo country. Speaking of this, everyone couldn't help but look at Bailey Hongzhuang and secretly sigh. His Highness the Crown Prince really suffered a big loss this time. Not long after, Xianyuan Huan also appeared at the auction. However, the moment he walked into the hall, Xianyuan Huan felt everyone's strange gazes. That usually arrogant face lost a bit of its complacency and was replaced with a bit of helplessness. He didn't get first place in the royal hunting competition, and his fiancée had this kind of problem. Before he came, he heard Imperial Father and Imperial Mother discussing whether to cancel the engagement again. A sense of helplessness emerged in his heart. He really didn't understand why he was so unlucky these days. Everything was going wrong. The people who were originally talking wantonly shut their mouths, and the bustling hall instantly quieted down. Bailey Hongzhuang sized up Tianxiang Trading Company's auction. The bright hall was spacious enough to accommodate hundreds of people. The furnishings were low-key and exquisite. One look, and one could tell that the price was not low, but it didn't steal the limelight. Bailey Hongzhuang's line of sight turned and landed on the left side of the hall. That was the place where the auction items were stored. "You guys wait for me here. I'll go to the hall," Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly said. Xiao Zifen looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in surprise. "You want to sell treasures?" Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and nodded. "That's right. But if you sell treasures before the auction starts, you can only make it in time for the next auction. You won't make it in time for this auction." "It's fine. I'll go take a look first." Bailey Hongzhuang's smile was still the same. The reason she didn't accept treasures was because your treasures weren't valuable enough. If your treasures have enough value, even if they can't make it in time. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang, Xiao SSS, T. "Senior." Bailey Hongzhuang raised her voice and called out again. Bang! The old man was woken up by the sound, and his chin hit the table. "Io." The old man rubbed his chin and said angrily, "Who disturbed this old man's sleep?" Chapter 175. The old man was originally panting with anger, but after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang, his eyes flashed with a touch of amazement. He touched the few strands of beard on his chin and said, "What a beautiful girl. But girl, you actually disturbed this old man's sleep. Isn't that too rude?" Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows, her eyes revealing a bit of craftiness. From the old man's expression, she could already see that he wasn't angry. "Senior, sleeping during working hours seems even more inappropriate, right?" The old man's expression changed. Cough, cough. This old man only closed his eyes. "Who said I was sleeping? But you clearly said that I disturbed your sleep." The old man looked around, directly ignoring Bailey Hongzhuang's words. "Girl, what do you want to sell? Let me see it, but I'm afraid it won't make it in time for today's auction." Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang took out a white porcelain bottle from her chinquin bag and placed it in front of the old man. The old man looked at the white porcelain bottle, his eyes filled with a trace of interest. Usually, this white porcelain bottle was filled with medicinal pills. Taking the white porcelain bottle, the old man opened it, and a strong medicinal fragrance filled the air. "This is a bone-cleansing pill?" The old man's face was filled with a trace of shock. Bone-cleansing pill, a second-grade medicinal pill, had the effect of cleansing the marrow. Everyone's body was filled with impurities, and the bone-cleansing pill could expel the impurities, making it easier to get close to the spirit energy and increase the speed of cultivation. Although the bone-cleansing pill's grade wasn't high, in the entire Fengbo country, there was only one alchemist who had mastered this pill's recipe. Because of this, the bone-cleansing pill was rarely seen. This time, the reward for the second place in the royal hunting competition had made many cultivators jealous. Who would have thought that this little girl in front of him would actually take out 3 bone-cleansing pills at once? He didn't even need to think. As long as he took this bone-cleansing pill to the auction, it would definitely become the highlight of the auction. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded her head lightly. "Senior has a good eye." Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's reply, the old man's gaze towards Bailey Hongzhuang changed. Alchemists were a special existence in the Shengxian continent. Bailey Hongzhuang being able to take out medicinal pills proved that there was an alchemist behind her, and being able to take out 3 baptizing bone pills proved that there was a powerful alchemist behind her. Because of this, Bailey Hongzhuang's position in the old man's heart suddenly rose. This kind of person, you must form good karma with him. "Little girl, how should I address you?" the old man asked. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. "I am Bailey Hongzhuang." Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's name, the old man's expression froze. So this little girl in front of him was the Bailey Hongzhuang who had been in the limelight recently. "So it's Shen Wangfei." The old man chuckled. "This old man is Su Hanyuan. You can call me Elder Su." "Elder Su." Bailey Hongzhuang cupped her hands and said, "I wonder if my bone-cleansing pills will be able to make it in time for this auction." Su Hanyuan nodded. "Of course it will be able to make it in time. 3 bone cleansing pills will be enough to be the highlight of the auction. Chen Wang Fei, don't worry. It will definitely be able to fetch a high price. This old man will make the decision. My auction house will not take a single cent from you. Bailey Hongzhuang's clear and bright eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. She hurriedly waved her hands. That won't do. The fees that should be paid must be paid. Su Hanyuan shook his head and smiled. The addition of these 3 bone cleansing pills will be enough to raise my Tianxiang auction house's auction to a whole new level. We will be able to attract even more people to participate in the auction. Just this point alone is enough to surpass the fees. Chapter 176. Seeing how resolute Su Hanyuan was, Bailey Hongzhuang didn't refuse anymore. Then I'll have to thank Elder Su. She understood that the most important thing for an auction was the quality of an item. In the Imperial City, although Tianxiang Auction House was the largest auction house, there were still other auction houses competing with it. In this competition, the most important thing was to see which auction house had the most valuable treasures. That would determine which auction house the next time. These 3 bone baptizing pills were enough for Tianxiang Auction House to win. Elder Su did this in order to form a good relationship with her. If Princess Chun has any other similar treasures, I hope that you can come to our Tianxiang auction house again. Su Hanyuan smiled. Definitely. After leaving the appraisal hall, Bailey Hongzhuang pondered over Su Hongyuan's identity. 3 bone baptizing pills. The cost of the procedure wasn't small. If Su Hanyuan was just an ordinary worker, he wouldn't be able to make this decision. It seems that Elder Su's position in Tianxiang Auction House wasn't low. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly walked back to Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunqi's side. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang had returned, Zhao Yunqi asked, "How was it? We didn't make it in time for the auction, did we?" This was the auction house's rule. After all, the auction house had already printed the items for the auction 2 days ago and sent them to those with power and influence. How could it be easy to add another item? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. My luck was good. We made it in time. Hearing this, Zhao Yunqi and Xiao Zifan were stunned. They looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in astonishment, wondering if they had heard wrong. It seems that the items you brought out this time are very valuable. Xiao Zifan thought for a bit and understood the reason. Zhao Yunqi suddenly understood. There was indeed such a possibility, but this kind of time was rarely seen. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang and the other 2 were talking, an untimely voice interrupted their conversation. You are Bailey Hongzhuang? The clear and rude voice had a trace of disdain, as if a superior was looking down on her subordinate. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. She didn't seem to recognize the owner of this voice. Tilting her head, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the woman behind her. The woman was about 17 years old. Her appearance was outstanding, but her slightly raised chin revealed her insufferably arrogant and overbearing attitude. She was dressed in a bright red outfit that was ostentatious and warm. Her entire person was exuding a lofty aura, which was quite a unique style. Just looking at that pair of apricot eyes full of contempt, Bailey Hongzhuang already had no interest in them. Daijimon, Zhao Yunqi cried out in surprise. She didn't expect to meet Daijimon here. Hearing Daijimon's name, Bailey Hongzhuang finally understood who this rude and unreasonable woman was. Bailey Hongzhuang. To Bailey was. Last year, she participated in the Azure Water School's entrance exam and successfully became a member of the school. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't expect that she would appear at the Tianxiang auction house today. Fengbo country had several generals. The most famous one was naturally Bailey Jintao. The second was Bailey Hongzhuang's father, Bailey Tianxiang. However, Bailey Hongzhuang and Bailey Hongzhuang didn't have any interactions. She didn't know why this woman suddenly looked for her. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang didn't reply, Bailey Hongzhuang frowned and said, I asked if you were Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 177. When Daijimon came back, she heard that everyone was talking about Bailey Hongzhuang. She didn't think that the teacher would actually give Bailey Hongzhuang an invitation letter. An invitation letter. That is the highest honor of the Azure Water School students. Every student that can get an invitation letter is an influential person in the school. However, She didn't think that Bailey Hongzhuang would actually dare to refuse the teacher's invitation. What is this? Bailey Hongzhuang, this kind of trash, should be thanking the heavens and earth for being valued by a teacher. She actually dared to refuse. Who does she think she is? She originally wanted to teach Bailey Hongzhuang a lesson, but after hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's indifferent words, Dai Jimon didn't know what to say. I heard that you refused the teacher's invitation letter. Dai Jimon looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with disdain. Don't think that you are amazing just because you have a little strength. In this world, there are many people who are stronger than you. As soon as she heard Dai Jimon's words, Bailey Hongzhuang understood that this girl was deliberately looking for trouble. Are you jealous? Bailey Hongzhuang said indifferently. These three simple words poked at the pain in Dai Jimon's heart. Her beautiful face quickly filled with anger. I'm jealous of you. Dai Jimon did her best to suppress the anger in her heart. In your dreams, you're just like this. What is there for me to be jealous of? Since you're not jealous, then why are you talking so much nonsense? Bailey Hongzhuang said indifferently. Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunqi looked at this scene and deeply admired Hongzhuang's strength. It was clear that Dai Jimon was here to pick a fight. If it were anyone else, they would have been infuriated by Dai Jimon. But Bailey Hongzhuang had this kind of ability. Not only did she not get angry, but she also made Dai Jimon angry. Gradually, they began to sympathize with Dai Jimon. After all, Bailey Yuyan had never been able to outtalk Bailey Hongzhuang. Dai Jimon took a deep breath. She did not understand what Bailey Hongzhuang was thinking. Why was the development of the situation completely different from what she had imagined? You dare say that I'm talking nonsense? Dai Jimon's eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. I really don't understand where your sense of superiority comes from. Why don't I dare to scold you? Who do you think you are? Bailey Hongzhuang's deep eyes flashed with a cold light. She raised her chin slightly and smiled sarcastically. Bailey Hongzhuang never liked to provoke others, but some people just like to look for trouble. She didn't say anything, so they really thought she was easy to bully. What kind of cat or dog wanted to bully her head? They didn't even have the qualifications to do so. Xiao Zifan and the others clearly felt the change in Bailey Hongzhuang's aura. The always approachable Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly became cold and austere. You really think you're amazing just because you're valued by the Azure Water School. You waste, you're not my opponent. Seeing the change in Bailey Hongzhuang, Dai Jimon also became angry. She was a dignified student of the Azure Water School. How many people of the same generation dared to talk to her like this? Bailey Hongzhuang's phoenix eyes narrowed. You keep calling me a waste. I want to ask who can get an invitation to the Azure Water School is a waste, then what are you? Who can't even get an invitation? You're courting death. Chapter 178. The fiery red whip, the fiery red robes, and that extremely rude and unreasonable temper. They were a strange match. Slap! The long whip danced on the ground, making a loud and clear sound. A crack appeared on the hard ground under the long whip. It was clear to see how strong the whip was. I'll show you how powerful I am. As she spoke, Dai Jimon mercilessly swung her whip towards Bailey Hongzhuang's face. Everyone's expression changed when they saw this scene. No one had expected Dai Jimon to be so vicious. As the saying goes, hit someone but don't hit their face. Dai Jimon had directly attacked their face. They did not doubt that if this whip really landed on Bailey Hongzhuang's face, it would inevitably be lacerated. That peerlessly beautiful face would also be left with a terrifying scar. The corners of Dai Jimon's lips curled into a pleased smile. Once she had destroyed Bailey Hongzhuang's face, she would like to see if the latter could still be so arrogant. A cold light flashed across Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. There was no enmity between her and Dai Jimon. However, Dai Jimon had wanted to destroy her face as soon as she had appeared. She was truly vicious. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If people offend me, I'll pay them back 100-fold. In the next moment, under the crowd's shocked gazes, Bailey Hongzhuang did not dodge the long whip. It was about to land on her face. Careful! Xiao Zifan could not help but shout. This scene had happened too suddenly. None of them had expected Daijimon to attack regardless of the location. By the time he wanted to stop her, it was already too late. Drip, drip. The sound of blood dripping onto the ground rang out. The crowd watched the scene in front of them and almost forgot to breathe. They saw Bailey Hongzhuang's left hand grabbing onto Daijimon's long whip. Fresh blood was dripping from between her fingers. However, that peerlessly beautiful face was still blooming with an enchanting smile. Without looking, everyone could imagine how deep the wound on Bailey Hongzhuang's hand was. Looking at the smile on her face, the crowd felt that it was indescribably strange. Is it fun? Bailey Hongzhuang's red lips parted slightly. Her voice was full of charm, as if she was just joking. Daijimon gulped as she looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. She didn't know why, but a sense of fear rose in her heart. She knew very well how strong her whip was. However, what was even more inconceivable to her was that her long whip had been brandished so quickly. How could Bailey Hongzhuang possibly catch her long whip? Since you like to disfigure people so much, I'll let you have a taste of being disfigured. Bailey Hongzhuang's pitch-black eyes were filled with a terrifying storm. Her body suddenly moved, and with a silver needle between her fingers, she directly slapped towards Daijimon's face. Daijimon immediately understood what Bailey Hongzhuang was trying to do. She wanted to pull back her whip and attack Bailey Hongzhuang again. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's left hand gripped the long whip tightly, not giving her the chance to retract it. Slap! A loud slap, accompanied by a tearing sound, rang out. The crowd gasped in shock. On Daijimon's delicate face, 5 fine scars covered half of her face. Fresh blood slowly flowed from the scars. It was a sinister and terrifying sight. Feeling the pain on her face, Daijimon instinctively touched her face. When she saw the fresh blood on her hand, her face quickly filled with terror. Chapter 179. If it's destroyed, then it's destroyed. What do you do about it? Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was indifferent. Even though her actions were so ruthless, her expression was still indifferent. I've never liked to provoke others. But the next time someone tries to cause trouble for me, don't blame me for being impolite. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression suddenly turned cold. Her eyes were filled with a trace of coldness as she swept her gaze across the crowd. Everyone's expression slightly changed. For a long time, everyone had been immersed in the fact that Bailey Hongzhuang was a waste. Even though Bailey Hongzhuang had already cleared her name, no one took it to heart. This was because the image of Bailey Hongzhuang was deeply ingrained in their hearts. But at this moment, looking at the frosty expression on her face, everyone knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was no longer a waste that could be bullied by anyone. She was a true genius. Whoever dared to provoke her would have to face her wrath. At this moment, another figure walked into the Tianxiang auction hall. The man wore a dark green brocade robe. After seeing Daijimon, his face revealed a smile. But when a man saw Daijimon's face, his expression suddenly changed. Jimon, what happened to you? When Daijimon saw the man, it was as if she had found her backbone. She immediately cried out, "Brother Liu, you have to help me get revenge." Liu Jingkuan was also a student of the Azure Water School. He had always admired Daijimon. This time, when he saw Daijimon return to the Imperial City, he also followed her back. Now that he saw the beauty in trouble, Liu Jingkuan was duty-bound to protect her. Who did it? Liu Jingkuan angrily roared. I did it. Bailey Hongzhuang indifferently said. You want to help her get revenge? Liu Jingkuan was extremely angry. He immediately wanted to make a move on Bailey Hongzhuang. But when he saw Bailey Hongzhuang's appearance, his hands couldn't help but stop. What a stunning beauty. He had always thought that Daijimon was very beautiful. But compared to this woman in front of him, Daijimon was overshadowed. You did it. Liu Jingkuan asked, Who are you? Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with impatience. If you want to do it, then do it. I don't have so much time to waste. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's tone, everyone was even more speechless. This Bailey Hongzhuang was really amazing. Liu Jingkuan was a real middle-stage, mysterious Ian expert. Not only did Bailey Hongzhuang refuse to back down, she even took the initiative to provoke her. Brother Lu, what are you waiting for? Help me ruin her face, Dai Jimon urged. Oh, okay. Lu Jing-kun hesitated. He didn't know whether he should attack or not. In the face of such a beauty, he believed that no man could bear to be ruthless. Just as Lu Jing-kun was hesitating, the manager of the Tianxiang auction house arrived. Looking at the scene in front of him, the shopkeeper had already heard the whole story from others. He never thought that Daijimon would actually make a move in Tianxiang auction house. Their Tianxiang auction house had branches all over the Shengxian continent. It was only to talk about their background. No matter who it was, they would have to give face to their Tianxiang auction house. Even if they had grudges, they would have to wait until after they left. Otherwise, it would be the same as not giving them any face. All these years, any cultivator who dared to do such a thing had been blacklisted by the Tianxiang auction house. They never thought that trouble would come today. Chapter 180. Although Tianxiang Trading Company had always kept a low profile, everyone knew that Tianxiang Trading Company was not to be trifled with. Even the royal family had to give Tianxiang Trading Company some face. This was because the royal family only had absolute power in Fengbo country, while Tianxiang Trading Company had a considerable influence in the entire Shengxian continent. In comparison, Tianxiang Trading Company's background was even more shocking. Dai Zhiman and Bailey Hongzhuang had caused trouble at Tianxiang Trading Company, so it was very likely that they would be blacklisted by Tianxiang Trading Company. This was not a joke. How many shops did Tianxiang Trading Company have? How many cultivators needed to buy things from these shops? Without Tianxiang Trading Company, their choices were too narrow. Miss Dai, Chen Wangfei, the auction is about to begin. I hope that the two of you can give me some face and temporarily put aside your differences. How about it? Shopkeeper Su Xingchuan said with a light smile. His amiable face did not reveal the slightest trace of anger. Bailey Hongzhuang retracted the coldness in her eyes and said with a light smile, I'm truly sorry for affecting Tianxiang Trading Company's auction. Hearing this, Su Xingchuan glanced at Bailey Hongzhuang again. In an instant, Bailey Hongzhuang was able to retract her sharpness, change her expression, and freely control her emotions. Just based on this point, Bailey Hongzhuang was a character. Not only that, he already knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was not the one who caused trouble, but Dai Jimon who provoked her. Even so, Bailey Hongzhuang still apologized. From this, one could see how magnanimous she was. Chen Wangfei is too serious. For you to participate in our Tianxiang Trading Company's auction is our honor. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled, but did not speak. From the moment Su Xingchuan appeared, she knew that this person was not simple. This person's cultivation was stronger than all of them present. Such a cultivation was worthy of respect. However, this Su Xingchuan was only the shopkeeper of Tianxiang Trading Company. It seemed that she had underestimated Tianxiang Trading Company. Dai Jimon did not have such a good temper. Bailey Hongzhuang injured me to this extent. If you want me to let her go, you must be dreaming. As soon as these words were spoken, Su Xingchuan's smile lost some of its warmth. So you're saying that Miss Dai is unwilling to give our Tianxiang Trading Company face? Following Su Xingchuan's words, everyone felt the pressure in the entire hall drop. Everyone broke out in cold sweat for Dai Jimon. This girl was the one who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Dai Jimon didn't know, but Lu Jing-kun knew the meaning behind Su Xingchuan's words. Once they were blacklisted by Su Xingchuan, they would be rejected by all the shops under Tianxiang. At that time, the word miserable would not be enough to describe it. Shopkeeper Su, we were in the wrong. We apologize, Lu Jing-kun said. Looking at Lu Jing-kun's expression, Dai Jimon became even angrier. She had been bullied to this extent, and he still wanted her to restrain herself. In Dai Jimon's dictionary, there was no such thing. She knew of Tianxiang Trading Company's influence, but so what? She didn't believe that Tianxiang Trading Company would blacklist her over such a small matter. Lu Jing-kun, if you don't help me kill Bailey Hongzhuang, don't even think about being together with me in the future. Dai Jimon angrily said. Su Xingchuan frowned. This Dai Jimon was too arrogant. She didn't even put Tianxiang Trading Company in her eyes. Chapter 181. Hearing this, Su Xing-chun coldly looked at the two of them and nodded. That's good. After Su Xing-chun left, Lu Jingkuan whispered into Dai Jimon's ear, Jimon, don't worry, I will definitely avenge you. But we have to wait until the auction is over. How about it? Dai Jimon, who was originally dissatisfied, calmed down after hearing this. She nodded, okay. When the time comes, you have to help me kill her. No problem. Through the conversation between Bailey Hongzhuang and Su Xing-chun, Lu Jingkuan knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was already married and had nothing to do with him. Since that was the case, he had to kill her. Master, these two bastards are talking about killing you after the auction. Xiao He angrily said. Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth hooked up into a sneer. With just them, this pair of villains colluding with each other, I feel annoyed just by looking at them. Xiao Bai disdainfully said, Master doesn't need to do anything. I'll deal with them myself. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Since they don't have eyes, I'll send them to hell. Xiao He and Xiao Bai's eyes flashed with excitement. These bastards were too much. Until now, their master had always been low-key, so they really thought that their master was easy to bully. This time, they would let these scum know the price of blood. Jimon, don't be angry. As students of Azure Water School, we can sit in first class while some people can only sit in second class. Lu Jingkuan said with a smile. Tianxiang Auction's seating arrangements were also very particular. They were divided into first class, second class, and third class. This arrangement was based on each family's status. The first class seats were the most comfortable and had a larger area. Even the auction items could be seen more clearly. The second class seats were slightly worse, and the third class seats were even more crowded. Although one could participate in the auction regardless of their seating arrangement, the seating arrangement was a symbol of status. That's true. Dai Jimon's face revealed a smile. As she spoke, she glanced at Bailey Hongzhuang. Some people should only be able to sit in second class. I don't know why they are so arrogant. Bailey Hongzhuang was puzzled. She really didn't know that there was such a difference in the auction house. Xiao Zifen whispered beside Bailey Hongzhuang. Juniors like us can only sit in the second-class seats. Ordinary people sit in the third-class seats, and powerful elders can sit in the first-class seats. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. She didn't really care about this. A first-class seat is enough to make you guys so proud. There's really nothing to be proud of. Zhao Yunxi couldn't help but say. She suddenly felt that Li Yuyue wasn't as hateful as she thought, because there was someone who was even more arrogant than Li Yuyue in the past. Dai Jimon's eyes narrowed. She raised her chin and said, If you have the ability, why don't you get one too? Bailey Hongzhuang didn't think that Zhao Yunxi would suddenly speak up for her. Just as she was about to speak, the attendant of Tianxiang Auction House suddenly walked in front of her and said, Chun Wangfei, the shopkeeper said that VIP box number 2 has been prepared for you. When these words came out, the proud expression on Dai Jimon's face froze. What did he say? VIP box number 3 has been prepared for Bailey Hongzhuang? What qualifications does Bailey Hongzhuang have to enter VIP box number 3? Chapter 182. Bailey Hongzhuang was also puzzled. From Dai Jimon and Xian Ziheng's expressions, she could tell that this VIP box was not ordinary. It was clearly much better than the first-class seats. Prepared for me? Why? Her clear eyes were filled with shock and confusion. She had no relationship with Tianxiang Trading Company. If it was only because of what happened just now, then it was too far-fetched. The attendant's face was filled with a courteous smile as he gently explained. Chun Wangye is our Tianxiang Trading Company's VIP. You're Chun Wangfei, so naturally you can enter the VIP box. Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly understood. She never thought that she would be able to bask in Di Beichen's glory. That fellow, with his status, he indeed has the qualifications to become Tianxiang Trading Company's VIP. After the attendant left, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips slowly curved into an elegant smile. I only have a VIP box, not a first-class seat. I really envy you guys. Dai Jimon and Xian Ziheng's faces instantly turned ugly. Everyone looked at them with ridicule in their eyes. Xian Yuanhuan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in shock. He really didn't know that that trash Di Beichun would be Tianxiang Trading Company's VIP. Even he had to rely on his status as a member of the imperial family to be able to get a VIP box. Even Xin Yuan Jing couldn't enter. Just what kind of ability does Di Beichun have? The auction is about to start. Let's go in together. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Xiao Zifen and Xian Ziheng. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Zhao Yunqi's eyes filled with surprise. I can also go. Bailey Hongzhuang lightly smiled and nodded. Of course. Zhao Yunqi's smile was brilliant. She was really curious about this legendary VIP box. She never thought that she would have the opportunity to sit in one today. The three of them no longer hesitated and directly walked towards a VIP box. At the same time the three of them left, the other people in the hall also slowly walked towards the auction. Dai Zhimon looked at the direction Bailey Hongzhuang left and fiercely stomped her foot. She originally wanted to use today's opportunity to ruthlessly stomp on Bailey Hongzhuang. She never thought that she would actually lose face. Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two were led into the VIP box by the waiter. The square box was located on the second floor of the auction hall. From above, one could clearly see the entire auction hall. The private room was very spacious and comfortable. The seats were soft, making it very comfortable to sit on. On the table in the middle of the room, high-quality tea and exquisite snacks had already been prepared. 3 brochures were placed on the table, waiting for people to flip through. Sizing up the environment in the box, Zhao Yunqi's face was filled with a trace of amazement. The treatment in this VIP box is indeed different. Compared to the environment below, who knows how many times better. She had been to auctions before, but she had always sat in the second-class seats. Originally, she didn't think there was anything wrong with the second-class seats, but after seeing the VIP rooms, she deeply felt the difference between the two. Xiao Zifen nodded in agreement. This VIP box is extremely well decorated. It's elegant and comfortable. Sitting in the lobby is always a bit hot. Bailey Hongzhuang lightly smiled. Tianxiang Commerce's number of VIPs is already very small. This VIP box naturally has to be decorated to perfection. She couldn't help but admit that for Tianxiang Commerce to have such influence in the Shangxian continent, they really had a business mind. With such a clear distribution of ranks, it successfully aroused everyone's desire to compete. They only hoped to have a higher position in Tianxiang Commerce. Chapter 183. Dai Zhimon sat in her seat. This was the first time she was sitting in Tianxiang's first-class auction. She was originally very happy, but when she thought about how Bailey Hongzhuang was actually sitting in the VIP box, she felt a burst of anger. Why was that woman able to sit in the VIP box? Thinking back, she was one of the few chosen cultivators in the Imperial City to participate in the Azure Water School's examination and become a student. It could be said that she had limitless glory. This time, she wanted to be the focus of everyone's attention, but everyone's attention was on Bailey Hongzhuang. After asking around, she was surprised to find out that Bailey Hongzhuang actually had the Azure Water School's invitation letter. As a student of the Azure Water School, she was very clear about the importance of this invitation letter. This undoubtedly made her jealous. What she couldn't bear the most was that Bailey Hongzhuang was actually married to Di Beichun. How could this be? Bailey Hongzhuang picked up an auction catalog. She hadn't looked at it before, so she wanted to see if there was anything she needed in this auction. At this time, Zhao Yunqi looked at Bailey Hongzhuang's face and suddenly said, Bailey Hongzhuang, do you know why Dai Zhimon is looking for trouble with you? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. Because I received the Azure Water School's invitation letter? Zhao Yunqi nodded, then shook her head. This is only one of the reasons. The other reason should be that she is holding a grudge. Her deep black eyes were filled with some doubts. Other than this, she didn't seem to have any conflicts with Dai Zhimon. Xiao Zifen immediately understood the meaning of Zhao Yunqi's words, and a trace of helplessness appeared on his face. Because of what? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. In the past, Dai Zhimon was in love with Prince Chun. When these words came out, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes widened. She had thought of many possibilities, but this was the only one she hadn't thought of. Di Beichun. Dai Zhimon actually liked Di Beichun? Although Prince Chen's legs are disabled, there are many women who admire him in the imperial city. After all, such a handsome man is rare in the world. At that time, the emperor intended to betroth Dai Jimon to Prince Chun. Coincidentally, Dai Jimon had always been in love with Prince Chun. Many people knew at that time, but Prince Chun refused. In the past 3 years, His Majesty has mentioned many times to arrange a marriage for Prince Chun, but Prince Chun has never agreed. As she spoke, Zhao Yunqi looked at Bailey Hongzhuang strangely. Until you appeared, Prime Minister Li proposed to marry you to Prince Chun, and Prince Chun actually agreed. This was something that no one could believe. For a long time, Prince Chun had refused to get married, but the emperor didn't care. When facing Bailey Hongzhuang, Di Beichun chose to agree. What's more, for Bailey Hongzhuang, he offended the general's mansion and gave Bailey Hongzhuang a grand and perfect wedding. It could be seen that Di Beichun really liked Bailey Hongzhuang. How could Dai Jimon be convinced by such a big gap between them? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with surprise. When she saw Xiao Zifen nodding in agreement, she realized that all this was true. It seemed that she had underestimated Di Beichun's charm. There were so many women who admired him in the imperial city. I see. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. But now it proves that Prince Chun really has good taste. Chapter 184. Now she understood. Out of all the people in the imperial city, only Prince Chun had a good eye. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled but didn't say anything. She didn't know that Zhao Yunqi was also paying attention to Di Beichun. Speaking of Di Beichun, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes changed. She didn't know how he was doing right now. Looking at the auction catalog in her hand, Bailey Hongzhuang found that there were quite a few treasures in this auction. Weapons, medicinal ingredients, cultivation methods, martial skills, and other things that cultivators needed. It seemed that Tianxiang Auction House had prepared quite a bit of time for this auction. She came this time for a weapon, but after looking through the catalog for half a day, she still couldn't find anything that suited her. She naturally wouldn't be interested in a normal weapon. If there wasn't anything suitable, she could only look for it later. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was about to give up, her gaze suddenly froze on the last page of the catalog. It was a completely blue sword. Ice sword. It was incomparably sharp and filled with cold qi. During battle, it could increase the damage caused by the cold qi. It was a pretty good treasure. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a faint smile. It seemed that she had finally found a pretty good treasure. While Bailey Hongzhuang was looking for a treasure that suited her, Xiao Zifen and Zhao Yunqi were also looking for something. Since they had come here, they naturally hoped that this trip wouldn't be in vain. A moment later, a black-robed old man appeared on the auction stage. The old man was about 50 years old. His eyes were bright as he looked at the guests below the stage with a smile on his face. Thank you everyone for taking the time out of your busy schedules to participate in Tianxiang Auction House's auction. I am the auctioneer, Su Jin. Everyone's gaze fell on Su Jin. This person was the head auctioneer of Tianxiang Auction House. There was almost no chance of an item being auctioned off by him. Let's not talk too much. I'm sure that everyone doesn't like to talk too much. Now, let's begin the auction of the first item. Hearing the old man's words, the crowd below the stage clapped. The old man's straightforward opening made it easy for everyone to have a good impression of him. The old man raised his left hand slightly, and a woman in a red dress slowly walked up with a tray of auction items in her hands. The woman's figure was excellent and curvaceous. When she walked, her charm was obvious and she attracted everyone's attention. Even when the woman walked down the stage, many men were still looking in the direction the woman had left. Next, we'll introduce the first auction item, the Savage Bloodblade. As soon as he finished speaking, the old man lifted the red silk, and the incomplete blood blade appeared in front of everyone. The Savage Bloodblade is a bloody weapon. It's extremely sharp and can be used for sneak attacks or self-defense. That's not all. It's light and easy to carry around. It's not easy to discover. It's a good choice. The old man raised the severed blood blade so that the guests below could see it more clearly. The silver-white blade of the severed blood blade had a few traces of blood red on it. Sure enough, it complemented the name Severed Blood Blade. Sitting in the VIP box, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others could clearly see the appearance of the incomplete Bloodblade. The Tianxiang auction house's VIP box seemed to have used a mysterious method to zoom in on the stage. Thus, even though they were far away, they could still see it clearly. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the severed Bloodblade. It was indeed a good weapon. Chapter 185. Severed Bloodblade. The starting bid is 4,000 gold coins. Each bid must be at least 1,000 gold coins. The auction begins now. As soon as Su Jin's voice fell, the sound of a bid rang out in the hall. 5,000 gold coins, 6,000 gold coins. As soon as the first bid was called out, the next bid had already drowned out the previous one. The hall was very lively. 9,000 gold coins, 10,000 gold coins. In a short time, the price of the severed Bloodblade had already risen to 10,000 gold coins. However, after the price had reached this point, the cultivators that were competing for the severed Bloodblade stopped bidding. For the severed Bloodblade to reach such a price was already pretty good. 11,000 gold coins. Another voice called out. Su Jin's face revealed a smile as he said, "Another guest has bid 11,000 gold coins. 11,000 gold coins. Is there anyone who wants to go higher?" After hearing Su Jin's words, another voice rang out. 12,000 gold coins. 12,000 gold coins. Is there anyone who wants to go higher? The hall was silent. For the severed Bloodblade to reach such a price was already very high. The owner of the severed Bloodblade below the stage, seeing that his item had reached such a price, revealed a smile. This price was much higher than if he had directly sold it to a shop. 12,000 gold coins sold. Su Jin raised the small hammer in his hand and heavily slammed it down. The dull and loud sound of the hammer fell into everyone's ears, announcing the end of the first auction item. Congratulations to the guest who has won the severed Bloodblade. Tianxiang Auction House's staff took the lead in applauding. The guests in the hall also followed suit. On Su Jin's right-hand side, an enchanting woman in a red dress walked towards the guests below the stage with a tray in her hand. That person received the severed Bloodblade under the applause of the crowd and a beautiful woman's smile. His face blossomed into a wide smile. No wonder Tianxiang commerce is so amazing. Just from the auction itself, you can see it. Xiao by side. Tianxiang commerce's grasp of people's hearts was truly amazing. Bailey Hongzhuang slightly nodded. Tianxiang commerce's methods are truly amazing. The severed Bloodblade's price wasn't 12,000 gold coins, but after Tianxiang Auction House's performance, even if that person had paid more, he would still be extremely happy. He believed that the next time that person participated in an auction, he would definitely choose Tianxiang Auction House as his first choice. After the first item was auctioned off, several other items were auctioned off one after another. However, Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two did not bid. The next item is called Mysterious Star Sword. Su Jin lifted the red silk, and a silver sword appeared in everyone's line of sight. This sword can cut through iron like mud, and it can even cut through hair with a blow. It's truly an excellent weapon. Guests who use swords as weapons, don't miss this opportunity. Xiao Zifen, who had been quietly watching the auction, suddenly sat up and stared at the mysterious star sword. Seeing the change in Xiao Zifen, Bailey Hongzhuang said, "You've taken a fancy to this mysterious star sword." Xiao Zifen smiled and nodded. "This mysterious star sword is very good. I'm about to go to the Azure Water School to find a suitable weapon. Come on, buy it," Zhao Yunxi said with a smile. The starting price for the mysterious star sword is 30,000 gold coins. Each bid must be at least 1,000 gold coins. Let the auction begin. 31,000 gold coins, 32,000 gold coins. Chapter 186. The price of this kind of auction was beyond their ability. If they wanted to go far on the road of cultivation, it was impossible to do so without enough money. 40,000 gold coins. The bidding was very fast. In just a short time, the price of the mysterious star sword had already broken through the 50,000 mark. After reaching 50,000, the number of cultivators participating in the auction decreased by a lot. 51,000 gold coins. Xiao Zifen began to bid. He was very clear that it was impossible to win the mysterious star sword by bidding at the beginning. It was better to wait until there were fewer competitors before bidding. Daijimon, who was sitting in the first-class seat, was originally bored. However, when she heard the bidding from Bailey Hongzhuang's box, her eyes lit up. A sly and sinister smile appeared on Daijimon's face as she said, "Offending me. I'll make you pay a price first. 52,000 gold coins." Daijimon's voice rang out in the hall. Hearing this voice, Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes. Daijimon's weapon was a whip and not a sword. It was clear that she was deliberately playing tricks. 53,000 gold coins. Xiao Zifan called out again. 54,000 gold coins. Daijimon immediately shouted. No matter how Xiao Zifan called out the price, Daijimon always added 1,000 gold coins. Although she and Xiao Zifan had no conflict before, since Xiao Zifan was with Bailey Hongzhuang, then he was her target. Seeing Daijimon so unyielding, Xiao Zifan's heart also surged with anger. The other competitors had already given up. If it wasn't for Daijimon playing tricks, then the mysterious star sword would have already been won by him. 60,000 gold coins. Xiao Zifan increased the price by 5,000 gold coins. It was clear that he was angry. Seeing Xiao Zifan angry, Daijimon's smile became even wider. 61,000 gold coins. Seeing the competition between Daijimon and Xiao Zifan, everyone understood that Daijimon was deliberately raising the price. Previously, Daijimon and Bailey Hongzhuang's conflict was so conspicuous, who didn't know? It was just that Daijimon's malicious way of raising the price was really disgusting. When participating in an auction, what everyone hated the most was meeting this kind of person, wasting so much money for no reason. After all, no one's money came from the wind. This kind of behavior was too despicable. Su Jin also noticed this scene. As the auctioneer of the auction house, it was his responsibility to get the highest price. Thus, he was happy to see this scene. No matter who got the mysterious star sword in the end, the auction house. 70,000 gold coins. Xiao Zifan's words. 71,000 gold coins. Daijimon was still smiling, but in her heart, she was a bit surprised. The mysterious star sword being auctioned for over 50,000 was already pretty good, but now she had actually raised the price to such a high price. It was clear that Xiao Zifan really liked this sword. When Daijimon called out the price of 71,000 gold coins, Xiao Zifan let out a sigh of relief. This time, he had prepared a total of 70,000 gold coins. He originally thought that 70,000 gold coins would be enough to buy the weapon he wanted. He never thought that Daijimon would ruin everything. Not shooting, Bailey Hongzhuang asked aloud. Zhao Yunqi's face was filled with anger. This Daijimon is too much. Simply shameless. Chapter 187. Daijimon was waiting for Xiao Zifan to continue bidding, but was surprised to find that after waiting for a long time, Xiao Zifan did not speak again. Her face could not help but change. Xiao Zifan could not have just given up like this, right? She did not need the mysterious star sword at all. If she bid for the item and did not want it, it would be the same as breaking the auction house's rules. This was not what she wanted to see. 71,000 gold coins going once. 71,000 gold coins going twice. Everyone's face revealed a bit of ridicule. They were very clear that Xiao Zifan really wanted to bid for the mysterious star sword. If the mysterious star sword fell into Daijimon's hands, Daijimon really wanted to cry, but had no tears. 71,000 gold coins going thrice. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly opened her mouth. 72,000 gold coins. The moment Bailey Hongzhuang opened her mouth, Daijimon's entire body relaxed. Fortunately, the weapon did not fall into her hands. She looked at the mysterious star sword with lingering fear. Her face was very ugly. This, Xiao Zifan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in surprise. He only brought a total of 70,000 gold coins. Bailey Hongzhuang faintly smiled. The reason why Daijimon did this was all because of me. You were dragged down by me, so I'll give you this mysterious star sword. If it was not for her, Xiao Zifan would have no problem bidding for the mysterious star sword and would not have suffered so much injustice. To be honest, She felt very sorry in her heart. How can that be? Xiao Zifan quickly refused. This weapon is for me. How can I let you give it to me? It's okay. We are friends. Giving a gift is normal. No. Xiao Zifan firmly shook his head. Lend me 2,000 gold coins first. I'll return it to you when I go back. Seeing Xiao Zifan firmly refuse, Bailey Hongzhuang laughed involuntarily. How about this? Since you are so determined, then you pay the original price of the mysterious star sword, 50,000 gold coins. As for the rest, I'll pay. Xiao Zifan was startled. Just as he was about to speak again, Bailey Hongzhuang spoke first. If you refuse again, then you want me to feel sorry in my heart. Hearing this, Xiao Zifan nodded. Thank you. This is what I should do. There's no need to thank me. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a smile, but her eyes were cold and frosty. It was one thing for Dai Jimon to cause trouble for her, but she even dared to cause trouble for her friend. Once the auction was over, she would definitely make Dai Jimon pay the price. The auction was still going on. From the beginning to the end, Dai Jimon and Lu Jingquan had not bid for anything. Just now, they treated Xiao Zifan like that. Wouldn't Bailey Hongzhuang wait for an opportunity to retaliate? They would not give Bailey Hongzhuang this chance. The next item to be auctioned is a soaring snake leather armor for women. It has a strong defense, and wearing it will undoubtedly increase the chances of survival. As cultivators, we will often encounter danger. This leather armor is definitely the best choice. Everyone, there is no need to hesitate. The starting price is 40,000 gold coins. The auction starts now. Zhao Yunqi's gaze froze on the bright red leather armor. She really wanted this armor. 50,000 gold coins. Zhao Yunqi called out. Following Zhao Yunqi's words, the cultivators below the stage were shocked. She directly raised the price by 10,000 gold coins. From this, it could be seen that this person was determined to get this armor. Dai Jimon's face once again revealed a smile. This was Zhao Yunqi's voice. Chapter 188. When everyone heard that Dai Jimon was using the same trick again, they all gave up on the idea of bidding for the leather armor. With this shit stir in the middle, unless they were idiots, there was no way they could bid for the leather armor. The thing that Zhao Yunqi didn't want to happen, the most still happened. Dai Jimon used the same trick again. 65,000 gold coins. Zhao Yunqi said. 66,000 gold coins. Dai Jimon smiled proudly. This feeling of bullying people was too good. Seeing that Dai Jimon was not going to give up, Zhao Yunqi's face turned red with anger. She suddenly shouted, Dai Jimon, don't go too far. Dai Jimon also didn't think that Zhao Yunqi would suddenly shout her name. However, she didn't care. Instead, the smile on her face became even more proud. So what if I bid for something? Do you have the right to not let me bid? You're deliberately causing trouble. Everyone knows this. So what? What can you do to me? Dai Jimon's smile was still the same. It was just Zhao Yunqi. She could bully her however she wanted. At this moment, a cold voice came from the private room. A person who is shameless is invincible. You've used this rule to the point of perfection. Hearing this, Dai Jimon's expression changed. She could no longer maintain the smile on her face. Everyone was stunned. A person who is shameless is invincible. This was the first time they heard of this, but they felt that it made sense. Dai Jimon's current actions could be described with these words perfectly. You dare to call me shameless? Dai Jimon stood up and angrily glared at the private room above. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up. Some people are naturally shameless. Do you think I should give her face? Bailey Hongzhuang, you're courting death. Dai Jimon was furious. This Bailey Hongzhuang's words were simply a slap to her face. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed. Her gaze was as cold as a knife. Looks like the lesson I gave you just now wasn't enough. If you have the guts to say another word, I'll make you regret being born into this world. The chilling words were filled with an incomparably domineering aura, and a frightening aura erupted. This was no longer a threat, but a final warning. Everyone's expression changed. They had never seen this side of Bailey Hongzhuang. From these words, everyone felt a strong pressure, as if a superior had issued an ultimatum to his subordinates. It was reasonable to say that they would find these words somewhat funny. Although Bailey Hongzhuang's talent was strong, Daijimon had already studied at the Azure Water School for a year. With their current strength, Daijimon was probably even stronger than her. How could she take Daijimon's life? But under such circumstances, hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's cold tone, no one thought that she was overestimating herself. Daijimon was stunned. In this short period of time, she had been overwhelmed by Bailey Hongzhuang's aura. Bailey Hongzhuang, who do you think you are? Daijimon sneered. You only have a bit of potential, yet you're already so lawless. If I want to deal with you, I have plenty of ways to do so. Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth slowly hooked up into a smile. Daijimon, tomorrow at noon, on the life and death stage, do you dare to fight? In the Shangxian continent, there were many conflicts between cultivators. When some conflicts were too big to be resolved, some cultivators would choose to step onto the life and death stage. Once on the life and death stage, life and death would be up to fate. No matter who died, the other party could not pursue the matter. Chapter 189. After all, both sides had good family backgrounds. Even if there were conflicts, they could think of ways to deal with it. No one was willing to pay the price with their lives. When Bailey Hongzhuang spoke about the life and death battle, the audience all gasped at the same time. Life and death arena? Bailey Hongzhuang actually wants to fight in the life and death arena? It seems like this Bailey Hongzhuang isn't just arrogant. The life and death arena isn't a joke. Daijimon's repeated provocations have already angered Bailey Hongzhuang. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's choice is really unexpected. Daijimon never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would want to fight in the life and death arena. After a short moment of surprise, her mouth hooked up into a cold smile. Originally, she wanted to wait until after the auction to make a move on Bailey Hongzhuang. Since Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to die, then she would send Bailey Hongzhuang to heaven. She knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was at the early stage of Mysterious Ian, but she was already at the middle stage of Mysterious Ian. Tomorrow, she would let Bailey Hongzhuang see the difference between the early stage and middle stage of Mysterious Ian. Good. Daijimon's tone was still proud. Bailey Hongzhuang, when the time comes, you will have to beg me to show mercy. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled coldly. Tomorrow will be the day you die. Oomph. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't backing down, Daijimon coldly snorted. Today, she would let Bailey Hongzhuang be as arrogant as she wanted. Tomorrow, she would make Bailey Hongzhuang lose all face in front of everyone. Xianyuan Huan looked at the conflict between Bailey Hongzhuang and Daijimon in shock. He never thought that the two would fight to the death the first time they met. The current Bailey Hongzhuang was like a completely different person from before. Zhao Yunqi's eyes widened. She even forgot to close her mouth. She just couldn't stand Daijimon's actions and started arguing with her. She had never thought that things would be so serious. Bailey Hongzhuang, I was only speaking out of anger. How could you challenge me to a duel in the life and death arena? If we lose, then wouldn't. Zhao Yunqi said anxiously. Seeing the anxiety on Zhao Yunqi's face, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile became gentler. Just as Xiao Zifen had said, although Zhao Yunqi's temper was a bit impatient, her heart wasn't bad. Before today, there was still some estrangement between Zhao Yunqi and her. Who would have thought that because of Daijimon's appearance, Zhao Yunqi would side with her against a common enemy? Xiao Zifen also had a worried expression. You're too impulsive. I heard that Daijimon has already broken through to the middle stage of Mysterious Ian. Coupled with her year of studying in Azure Water School, I'm afraid you're not her opponent. Bailey Hongzhuang faintly smiled and waved her hand. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. When Bailey Hongzhuang first met Daijimon, she already knew Daijimon's strength. Although she was only at the early stage of Mysterious Ian, her true battle strength was something that even a middle-stage Mysterious Ian cultivator wouldn't be able to contend against. This was her confidence. Daijimon had only studied in Azure Water School for a year. In her previous life, she had roamed Jianghu for many years. No matter if it was cultivation experience or battle experience, no one in the same age group could compare to her. She didn't even put Daijimon in her eyes. She only chose the life and death arena because she wanted to reduce the trouble Dai Jimon's family would have. Otherwise, she would have directly taken Dai Jimon's life today. Chapter 190. Because of this, Zhao Yunqi no longer had any interest in bidding for the leather armor. However, Dai Jimon was even less interested. Thus, under everyone's astonishment, Zhao Yunqi was able to obtain the leather armor at a low price. Jimon, you have to be careful against Bailey Hongzhuang tomorrow, Lu Jingkuan said. Dai Jimon raised her eyebrows indifferently. With just her? Once I use my full strength, she definitely won't be my opponent. Lu Jingkuan frowned. For what I see, this Bailey Hongzhuang isn't simple. If you were stronger than her, your face wouldn't have become like this. Hearing this, Dai Jimon's expression changed, and she hurriedly said, that was just a moment of carelessness. How could she be my opponent? Jimon, this Lu Jingkuan still wanted to advise Dai Jimon to be more careful. Although he had only met Bailey Hongzhuang once, he could feel that Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't an impulsive person. If she dared to propose a life and death battle, then she must have her own confidence. However, Dai Jimon wasn't willing to listen. She waved her hand in disgust and said, don't say such nonsense. How could I not know my own strength? Seeing that Dai Jimon was already angry, Lu Jingkuan sighed and shut his mouth. Perhaps Dai Jimon had already thought of how to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang tomorrow, so she didn't play any tricks when Bailey Hongzhuang bid for the ice blue sword. However, many cultivators present were very interested in the ice blue sword. Just from the high starting price, they could see the value of the ice blue sword. However, the ice blue sword was still obtained by Bailey Hongzhuang in the end. The auction items were auctioned off one by one. The closer it got to the end, the higher the atmosphere of the auction became. The value of the final item naturally didn't need to be mentioned. However, most of the people present were immersed in the life and death battle between Bailey Hongzhuang and Dai Jimon. They didn't have much enthusiasm for the auction. After the last item was successfully auctioned off, the guests all stood up and prepared to leave. However, at this moment, Su Jin's words attracted everyone's attention. Before the auction starts, the auction house has received another item as the final item of the auction. I believe everyone will be very interested. Su Jin's face was filled with a confident smile. When he found out about the new item, he knew that this auction would reach a new height. Hearing Su Jin's words, everyone was stunned. They looked at the stage. There was a final item to be auctioned off's final item. The guests who were originally preparing to leave all sat back down. To be able to be the finale item of Tianxiang's auction, its value would definitely not be low. I wonder what kind of treasure item to be added to the auction house last minute. To be the final item, to be the final auction. Last, to be the final item in the auction last. Everyone discussed animatedly, and their faces were filled with curiosity. Zhao Yunqi was also very curious. I wonder what kind of treasure it is for the auction house to accept it last minute. Following Zhao Yunqi's words, Zhao Yunqi and Xiao Zifen were both stunned. Their gazes immediately fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 191. This final item, it shouldn't be yours, right? Zhao Yunqi asked. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and nodded. She had no intention of hiding it. That's right, it's mine. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang admit it, Xiao Zifen and Zhao Yunqi were even more surprised. From the previous auctioned items, they knew how precious this item was. Bailey Hongzhuang had already taken out. I wonder what this auction item is. Xiao Zifen asked. A pill. On the stage, the red-dressed lady raised the tray and placed the auction item in front of Su Jin. Su Jin's smile became even more brilliant. I believe everyone is very curious about what this final auction item is. I won't keep you in suspense. This auction item is something that every young cultivator needs. The bone cleansing pill. As soon as these words came out, the atmosphere in the auction hall froze for a moment. Immediately after, a series of surprise discussions came from all directions, and the hall was bustling with noise and excitement. Bone cleansing pill. Tianxiang auction actually has a bone cleansing pill for auction. I didn't think that the auction would give us such a surprise. Normally, if I wanted to buy a bone-cleansing pill, I would have no way to do so. If I knew that there was a bone-cleansing pill for auction, I would have brought more money. No, I have to quickly send the news back and have someone send the money over. You're right, I have to do the same. Daijimon was also stunned after hearing about the bone-cleansing pill. She didn't think that Tianxiang auction would give her such a surprise. Bone-cleansing pill, that was something that every cultivator yearned for in their dreams. It was even more so for her. No, I have to immediately send the news back and have someone send the money over. Daijimon hurriedly stood up. She had already looked through the auction catalog, and there wasn't anything she wanted. Therefore, she came to the auction today just to watch the fun. She didn't bring much money with her. Daijimon quickly walked out of the auction. Lu Jingquan's heart was also burning. Even at the Azure Water School, it wasn't easy to get a bone-cleansing pill. If he could get it, that would be the best. Master, Daijimon has walked out of the auction, Xiaohei said as she watched Daijimon leave. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled confidently. She just went back to get the money. She'll be back soon, but it's useless even if she comes back with the money. Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunxi were looking at Bailey Hongzhuang in amazement. They already knew that Godly Doctor Square sold medicinal pills, but they only sold Peiyuan pills and detoxification pills. They never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would also have baptizing bone pills. Although the baptizing bone pill and the Peiyuan pill were both Tier 2 medicinal pills, the Peiyuan pill's pill formula was widely circulated and the vast majority of alchemists would guide it. Because of this, even though the foundation strengthening pill was hard to come by, as long as one put in the effort to find one, it would not be too difficult. The baptizing bone pill was different. There were very few alchemists who had mastered the baptizing bone pill's pill recipe. In the entire Imperial City, there was only one alchemist who had mastered the pill recipe. For Bailey Hongzhuang to be able to take out a baptizing bone pill, it could be seen that she wasn't simple. Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunxi looked at each other. They really didn't understand why Bailey Hongzhuang was so different. According to her original identity, she was just an unloved daughter of the general's household. Why was she so mysterious? Bailey Hongzhuang noticed the change in their expressions, but the corner of her mouth still had a trace of a smile. Chapter 192. She wasn't Bailey Jintao's biological daughter. She wanted to find her biological parents. So what if others suspected her identity? She was no longer the Bailey Hongzhuang that everyone could pinch. After a short moment of shock, Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunxi no longer bothered about this matter. Bailey Hongzhuang was their friend. Seeing how amazing Bailey Hongzhuang was, they felt happy. Xinyuan Huan, who was in the first VIP box, was also shocked. Although he had already obtained a bone-cleansing pill, there were many members of the royal family. It would be great if he could get one more. There are a total of 3 bone-cleansing pills in this auction. In order to give everyone more opportunities, we have decided to auction them separately. Su Jin's voice echoed in the auction hall. Everyone became even more excited when they heard the news of 3 bone-cleansing pills. If there was only 1 pill, it would be hard to get it. However, with 3 pills, the chances were much higher. Li Changxian, who was in the first-class seat, was also very excited when he heard the news. His mood today was extremely irritable, so he wanted to take a look at the auction. He didn't think that he would encounter such a good thing. The matter on Li Yuyue's face was already known. The only thing he could do now was to increase Li Yuyue's strength. No matter what, he must get this bone-cleansing pill. The first bone-cleansing pill will now be auctioned. Everyone knows that the bone-cleansing pill is priceless. Normally, it is very difficult to find a bone-cleansing pill. Therefore, this bone-cleansing pill will not have a base price. Everyone can bid as they wish. Bailey Hongzhuang's phoenix eyes narrowed. Su Jin's move was really good. If there was a base price, everyone would be able to estimate the value of the item. The final price would not be too high. Without a base price, everyone would not know where to start, and it would be auctioned off at a high price. Master, it seems that Tianxiang Auction will be able to get a high price for the bone-cleansing pill, Xiaohei said with a smile. Xiaobai nodded slightly. This time, the choice was not wrong. Everyone here is completely attracted by the bone-cleansing pill. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled, but did not say anything. Tianxiang Auction's methods were indeed better than she had imagined. 10,000 gold coins. A man from a third-class seat was the first to bid. Hearing this price, everyone felt a burst of disdain. Not to mention the auction, even if the bone-cleansing pill was sold in the shops, it would be worth far more. This guy was really shameless to ask for such a price. Feeling everyone's disdain, the man also felt embarrassed. As an ordinary citizen, it was not easy to have 10,000 gold coins. How could he forget that there were so many officials and dignitaries present? However, as soon as the man made his bid, a voice came from room number 1. 100,000 gold coins. As soon as Xian Yuan Huan opened his mouth, he directly raised the price from 10,000 gold coins to 100,000 gold coins. Everyone's expression changed. During the previous auction, the Crown Prince hadn't said a word, so they had almost forgotten that he was there. The Crown Prince's status was extremely noble, and no one dared to compete with him for the baptizing bone pill. Thus, the auction hall became silent for a moment. Su Jin was also somewhat startled. After seeing that no one else continued to bid, he could only say 100,000 gold coins going once, 100,000 gold coins going twice, 100,000 gold coins going thrice. Congratulations to Your Highness the Crown Prince for winning the bone-cleansing pill. Chapter 193. Everyone secretly sighed. The first pill had been won by the Crown Prince. If it wasn't for the Crown Prince's bid, the price of the first bone-cleansing pill wouldn't have been this high. Xiao Zifen sighed. This was the reason why alchemists had such a high status in Shengxian continent. Just a single pill they refined was enough to make many cultivators go crazy. Zhao Yunxi nodded. Since the Crown Prince has spoken, who would dare to bid? Do you think His Highness the Crown Prince wants to buy all 3 pills? Xiao Zifen pondered for a moment and said he won't. The second pill will be auctioned. Su Jin's voice sounded again. 100,000 gold coins. Another bid of 100,000 gold coins shocked everyone in the hall. However, the person who bid this time wasn't Xian Yuan Huan, but Prime Minister Li Chengxian. Seeing Li Chengxian, Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth slowly curved into a faint smile. This feeling of enemies meeting on a narrow road was really interesting. After everyone saw that it wasn't the Crown Prince who bid, they relaxed a bit. Although the Prime Minister's position was quite high, there were still many people present who weren't afraid. 110,000 gold coins. 120,000 gold coins. Seeing that everyone was silent for a moment and began to shout out bids, Li Chengxian's face couldn't help but become a bit ugly. When Dai Jimon returned, she saw that the second pill had already been auctioned. She immediately joined the auction. 150,000 gold coins. 160,000 gold coins. Li Chengxian said. 170,000 gold coins. Dai Jimon frowned. This price was almost twice the price of the first pill. However, Li Chengxian was determined to win this bone-cleansing pill. He didn't hesitate to raise the price again. With the experience of participating in many auctions, he knew that the third pill's price would definitely be higher, so he couldn't give up on the second pill. 200,000 gold coins. When Li Chengxian shouted out this price, Dai Jimon also gave up competing. With Li Yue's current situation, she could understand why Li Chengxian was so determined to win. However, she believed that the third pill would definitely be hers. The second bone-cleansing pill was successfully won by Li Chengxian, and the auction for the third bone-cleansing pill also began. 150,000 gold coins. The moment she opened her mouth, Dai Jimon raised the price to 150,000 gold coins, causing many cultivators who were preparing to bid to give up. Everyone looked at Dai Jimon and sighed in their hearts. These pills could only be bought by the rich. As for the commoners, they could only watch. Just the price alone was enough for them to look up to. Seeing everyone's shocked gazes, Dai Jimon's face was filled with pride. She wanted to see who would dare to fight with her. However, at this moment, a cold voice suddenly sounded, causing the smile on his face to fade a little. 150,001. Everyone was stunned. Everyone was raising the price by 1,000. Just now, everyone was raising the price by 10,000. But now, Bailey Hongzhuang was only raising the price by 1 gold coin. This was no longer an auction, but a blatant provocation to Dai Jimon. Dai Jimon's face was ashen. This damned Bailey Hongzhuang. 160,000 gold coins. 16,001. 170,000 gold coins. 17,001. No matter how Dai Jimon raised the price, Bailey Hongzhuang always raised the price by 1 gold coin. That mocking tone was clearly telling Dai Jimon that she was playing with Dai Jimon. Chapter 194. Bailey Hongzhuang, don't go too far, Dai Jimon angrily said. This was the first time in her life that she hated someone so much. Tomorrow, she will personally kill Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows and smiled charmingly. I'm just giving you a taste of your own medicine. What's wrong? Do you also feel that this kind of behavior is very shameful? With these words, Dai Jimon's face stiffened to the extreme. Bailey Hongzhuang's question made it so that no matter how she answered, it would be wrong. 200,000 gold coins. 200,001. Everyone present exclaimed as they looked at this scene. They originally thought that Dai Jimon had already gone too far, but they never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would be so merciless when slapping her face. This increment of 1 gold coin by 1 gold coin was enough to drive Dai Jimon crazy. 250,000 gold coins. 250,001. Dai Jimon's voice had already reached its peak, but Bailey Hongzhuang was still calm and collected. In reality, she didn't need to worry at all because this medicinal pill was originally hers. No matter how high the price was, it would still belong to her in the end. Moreover, Tianxiang Auction House didn't charge any handling fees. She simply wouldn't sell the bone-cleansing pill to Dai Jimon. 300,000 gold coins. Dai Jimon was completely driven mad by Bailey Hongzhuang. She didn't believe that Bailey Hongzhuang would dare to raise the price at this price. See, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This price was simply too crazy. 300,000 gold coins for a single bone-cleansing pill. This price was even higher than the previous 2 bone-cleansing pills. 300,001. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang call out again, everyone was stunned. Bailey Hongzhuang was simply too ruthless. With such a price, Dai Jimon could only look up to it. Her entire body immediately went limp. Jimon's fine. Just let Bailey Hongzhuang win this pill. Such a high price is enough for her to suffer. Lu Jingquan comforted her. Dai Jimon nodded slightly. This was her only consolation. She did not dare to continue bidding because the price had already exceeded her limit. If she continued bidding and Bailey Hongzhuang chose to give up, then she would really be finished. Congratulations to Chen Wangfei for winning the 3rd bone-cleansing pill. Su Jin's small hammer struck, announcing the auction result of this bone-cleansing pill. When the bone-cleansing pill was returned to Bailey Hongzhuang, Xiao Zifen and Zhao Yunqi looked at it. Their eyes couldn't help but reveal a bit of envy. This was a pill that all cultivators yearned for even in their dreams. They didn't bid because they knew that with their financial resources, they wouldn't be able to obtain this pill. Seeing their appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang took out a white porcelain bottle from her Qingquan bag and handed it to the 2 of them. These are 2 bone-cleansing pills. I'll give them to you. Hearing this, Xiao Zifen and Zhao Yunqi were stunned. Looking at the smiling Bailey Hongzhuang, they didn't come back to their senses for a long time. Give them to us? Zhao Yunqi said in a daze. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. That's right. I'll give them to you. She had refined a total of 5 bone-cleansing pills. She sold 2 of them, gave 2 to Xiao Zifen and Zhao Yunqi, and left 1 for herself. After Xiao Zifen reacted, he hurriedly refused. This is too expensive. I can't accept it. What kind of joke was this? This was the bone-cleansing pill that had just been sold for 200,000 gold coins. Zhao Yunqi's eyes flashed with surprise, but after seeing Xiao Zifen refuse, she also hurriedly refused. Chapter 195. Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand. Since we are friends, you don't need to care about this. The bone-cleansing pill will be of great help to you, especially since Ziffin still has to work hard for the Azure Water School's exam. Don't refuse it. Xiao Ziffin's heart trembled. Indeed, he must pass the Azure Water School's exam. In fact, he understood that his strength was not strong enough, and he did not have enough confidence in the exam. With this bone-cleansing pill, his strength would be able to improve a bit. Even the slightest difference could change the result of the exam. After a moment of silence, Xiao Ziffin looked deeply at Bailey Hongzhuang and said, "Thank you. If you need me in the future, I will not refuse." From the time he met Bailey Hongzhuang, it was always Bailey Hongzhuang who helped him. He only helped her to deal with the Hell Wolf that night. He was very clear in his heart that his appearance did not help Bailey Hongzhuang much. But because of this, Bailey Hongzhuang treated him as a friend. He did not deserve it. To be able to make a friend like Bailey Hongzhuang, he felt lucky from the bottom of his heart. Right now, he could not help Bailey Hongzhuang much, but he believed that in the future, he would be able to do it. Looking at the determination and seriousness in Xiao Ziffin's eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile became more warm. "Okay." Zhao Yunxi also said, "Wait for me. I can't enter the Azure Water School this year, but I will try my best to enter next year." The three of them looked at each other and smiled, then walked out of the VIP box. Bailey Hongzhuang took the lead to go to the appraisal room. Su Hongyuan was already waiting for her. What surprised Bailey Hongzhuang was that Su Xingchuan was also in the appraisal room. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang come, Su Hongyuan's face showed a kind smile. "Chen Wangfei, you came." Bailey Hongzhuang's face showed a faint smile. "Old Su, shopkeeper Su. I didn't think that the person auctioning the bone-cleansing pill would actually be Princess Chun," Su Xingchuan said with a smile. Originally, he only admired Bailey Hongzhuang's way of dealing with people. After knowing that the baptizing bone pill was brought by Bailey Hongzhuang, his opinion of Bailey Hongzhuang increased by a few points. Bailey Hongzhuang's medical skills, strength, potential, and background were all extraordinary. Among the younger generation, other than Bailey Hongzhuang, no one else could compare to her. In the past, he hadn't paid enough attention to Bailey Hongzhuang. Now, it seemed that he had to change his mind. "The money from the auction of the bone-cleansing pill has been transferred to your money card. You can check it." Su Honyuan smiled. "No need, I believe in Tianxiang Commerce." Bailey Hongzhuang smiled sweetly. With Tianxiang Commerce's financial and material resources, it was impossible for them to be greedy for such a small amount of money. If she really checked it, she would be a little petty. Su Hongyuan's smile deepened. This Bailey Hongzhuang was only 15 years old, but her way of dealing with people was flawless. "Chen Wangfei, this is my Tianxiang Commerce's VIP card. I hope you can accept it." Su Xingchuan handed a black card to Bailey Hongzhuang. Tianxiang Commerce's VIP card and money card were connected. The black gold embossed money card was low-key and luxurious. With a single glance, one could tell that this card was not simple. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes showed some surprise. Even if she took out 3 bone-cleansing pills to auction, it was still far from enough to obtain a VIP card from Tianxiang Commerce. Tianxiang Commerce's VIP card was very hard to obtain. She had heard a little about it. Why would Su Xingchuan give her a VIP card so easily? Chapter 196. This VIP card was not light. Just the processing fee for the auction would be reduced by a lot. It was truly a good item. "Thank you, shopkeeper Su." After Bailey Hongzhuang left, Su Honyuan asked, "Why did you decide to give her a VIP card?" The alchemist behind Bailey Hongzhuang made them want to form a good relationship with her, but that alone was not enough. Su Xingchuan smiled deeply. This girl is not ordinary. Her achievements in the future will not be low. Just her medical skills alone are worthy of this VIP card. In the Shengxian continent, there were not many alchemists with excellent alchemy skills. However, there were very few doctors who could compare with Bailey Hongzhuang. Just this point alone showed that Bailey Hongzhuang was not simple. Su Honyuan nodded slightly. "I also admire this girl. I wonder how far she will grow in the future." Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the Qin Palace. At the same time, the news of Bailey Hongzhuang and Dai Jimon's battle on the life and death arena had spread throughout the imperial city. Chen Wangfei is going to have a life and death battle with Miss Dai. Miss Dai has been cultivating in the Azure Water School for a year. I heard that her cultivation has already reached the middle stage of the mysterious Ian realm. She is even stronger than Chun Wangfei. Then why did Chun Wangfei take the initiative to challenge her? Isn't she courting death? I heard that Miss Dai's words were too harsh. That's why Chun Wangfei challenged her to a life and death arena. Too impulsive. Almost no one thought that Bailey Hongzhuang and Dai Zhimon would win because of the difference in strength. Everyone knew that challenging someone with a higher cultivation level was not easy. Not many cultivators were able to do it. Bailey Hongzhuang did not care about other people's opinions. After eating dinner, she returned to her room to cultivate. Looking at the bone-cleansing pill in her hand, Bailey Hongzhuang did not hesitate to consume it. The bone-cleansing pill was taken as early as possible in the early stages of cultivation. After cleansing the marrow and meridians, not only would it increase one's affinity with elemental energy, it would also increase one's cultivation speed. However, when a practitioner broke through from the Hotian realm to the Xiantian realm, they would undergo a marrow cleansing and meridians cleansing. The effect of the marrow and meridian cleansing technique was even better than the bone cleansing pill. It would expel all the impurities in the body, turning an ordinary mortal into an immortal, and greatly increase the speed of cultivation. This was the reason why the cultivation in the early stages of cultivation was relatively slow. After Bailey Hongzhuang took the bone-cleansing pill, Xiao He and Xiao Bai guarded Bailey Hongzhuang outside the house. The process of marrow and meridian cleansing was extremely painful. The longer one could endure, the more impurities would be expelled, and the better the effects would be. Very quickly, Bailey Hongzhuang felt a wave of pain assaulting her. Every inch of her body felt like it was being bitten by ants. Waves of pain came from her meridians. Her charming face quickly turned pale, and her body, which was lying on the bed, curled up like a shrimp. Large beads of sweat dripped from her forehead. She bit her lips and endured the intense pain, but did not make a single sound. Time passed very slowly during this process. Bailey Hongzhuang clenched her fists, and blue veins popped out. She looked to be in extreme pain. After experiencing it again, after being reborn, this feeling is still as unpleasant as before. Bailey Hongzhuang was speechless. In her previous life, she had taken the bone-cleansing pill. Now that she had taken it again, this feeling was truly unforgettable. Xiao He and Xiao Bai looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in this state, and their eyes were filled with admiration and appreciation. They understood the pain of taking the bone-cleansing pill. Many practitioners were unable to endure it, and thus, the bone-cleansing pill could not be used to its best effect. Chapter 197. The Chaos Ring has indeed chosen its master for a reason. Xiao He sighed. Xiao Bai nodded in agreement. How could it be so easy for a divine weapon to recognize its master? In the past few years, there have also been a few cultivators who had the opportunity to come into contact with the Chaos Ring, but they were unable to make it recognize them as its master. In my opinion, only cultivators with master's aptitude can make the Chaos Ring recognize them as its master. That's right, I believe that master will definitely be able to make waves in the Shangxian continent. When that time comes, we will be the black and white demons, haha. The next day, when Bailey Hongzhuang woke up, her body was already covered in filth. She immediately took a bath and sat down to eat, feeling refreshed. Master, how are the effects after you took the bone-cleansing pill? Xiao He scurried in front of Bailey Hongzhuang and asked. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Not bad. I have already maximized the effects of the pill. With her previous experience, she knew what to do after taking the bone-cleansing pill, so there was no problem at all. After the cleansing, she felt that her body was much lighter than before, and it was easier for her to cultivate. Although it did not increase her cultivation by much, the benefits would become more obvious in the future. We will be heading to the life and death arena in a while. Master, are you ready? Xiao He revealed a worried expression. This competition was ultimately risky, and it was a life and death battle, so it could not help but be worried. Bailey Hongzhuang patted Xiao He's head. The furry feeling was very comfortable. Don't worry, one Daijimon is not my opponent. Baishur, who was eating, scurried in front of Bailey Hongzhuang and said softly, "Master, do your best." Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. These three little guys were really cute. She did not know if it was because Baishur had not eaten for a long time after being sealed in the egg, or if it was just a big eater, but it had already eaten a lot today. At the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang felt that Baishur's body seemed to have grown a little. This change was not very obvious, but she was very sure. Demonic beasts grew at different speeds. She also hoped that White Lion could grow up as soon as possible. After all, White Lion could also become her right-hand man. At noon, the scorching sun was high up in the sky, revealing a bit of scorching heat and anxiety. The vicinity of the life and death arena was already crowded with people. Almost everyone in the city who had nothing to do had come to watch the show. The surrounding restaurants were filled with people. At noon, it was naturally the most comfortable to sit in a restaurant and watch the competition while drinking tea. When Bailey Hongzhuang arrived at the martial arts stage, she saw such a lively scene and the corners of her mouth curled into a playful smile. There were indeed many people in the Imperial City who liked to watch a lively scene. "Bailey Hongzhuang, you're here." When Xiao Zifen and Zhao Yunqi saw Bailey Hongzhuang appear, they immediately rushed over. Now that they saw Bailey Hongzhuang appear here, their feelings were really complicated. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. "You guys came very early." "Bailey Hongzhuang, the competition hasn't started yet. If you regret it, you can still change your words. You must not gamble your life because of a moment of anger," Zhao Yunqi advised. In her opinion, face was not the most important thing. Life was the most important thing. Seeing the sincere concern in Zhao Yunqi's eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang patted her hand and said, "Trust me, I'm not an impulsive person." "Are you really confident?" Xiao Zifen asked.